Hi folks, we're back. If you've been injured in an accident that's not your fault and you don't have an attorney, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions and tell you what your case is potentially worth. Pick up the phone, call now.
This right here is confidence in a bottle.
It makes me feel so much more confident than I've ever felt.
They are some of the hottest videos on social media. Those videos claiming to instantly get rid of bags under your eyes. Annette Figueroa is here to tell us why she says this one is for real.
This one is for real, and I'm so excited. We even have a video, and all he uses is a small amount on a clean, dry face. And what it does is it tightens and lifts the appearance of bags underneath your eyes. And I did this to my father. We were at home, so we applied it to his under eye bags, and let me tell you, we were so excited. In under 10 minutes, they visibly disappeared from view, and now it is literally part of both of our daily routines. And not only does it work on the bags, it works on the appearance of crow's feet, fine lines, and wrinkles.
At our $14.95 price, it's the best way to try Plexiderm and see it work after your first application. Call the number on your screen.
Call 800-316-6394.
Look at this one under eye bag. It's gone.
There's this side and this side.
This to this.
50 and haven't slept in weeks. 35 and fresh from a vacation.
They are some of the hottest videos on social media. Those videos claiming to instantly get rid of bags under your eyes. Well, today we're going to see one for ourselves and let you be the judge. It's called Plexiderm, and lifestyle expert Annette Figueroa is here to tell us why she says this one is for real.
This one is for real, and I'm so excited. We even have a video, and you'll notice the model has bags underneath his eyes and some sagging, and all he uses is a small amount on a clean, dry face, and that's how easy it is.
All right, what's the active ingredient?
Okay, so it's silicates that are minerals found in shale rock, and what it does is it tightens and lifts the appearance of bags underneath your eyes, and as little as 10 minutes, no prescriptions, and very little effort. Even watching the video, this is a real, it's a model, but it's a real guy with real bags underneath his eyes. And I did this to my father. We were at home. I had the timer on, and we were screaming. 4 minutes, 34 seconds, completely gone.
My real true opinion is holy words I can't say on camera. These lines bother me. They really do. And this is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, I could feel it just lifting my skin. It was amazing. It feels good. Feels great. Looks even better.
And not only does it work on the bags, it works on the appearance of crow's feet, fine lines, and wrinkles. So it targets all those problem areas.
So this would be a daily thing, or
it absolutely could be a daily thing, but the way you want to do it is you want to have a clean, dry face. You use a small amount because it's so powerful. You have high school reunions, you have events you want to go to, you want to look years younger, this is it.
At our $14.95 price, it's the best way to try Plexiderm and see it work after your first application. Your solution is at plexidermtrial.com or call the number on your screen.
Does the state of this economy have your head spinning? Let American Medical Plans relieve one burden, health insurance. American Medical Plans specializes in under 65 health insurance plans.
Wake up to Friends in the Morning, Perry and Jerry. Weekdays on Mornings on the Dove. Encouraging and informative, the Dove TV.
Deserve better. They will customize a plan managed by you, not the government.
And I'm here to support anything he says.
Yeah, thank you so much, and good morning.
He has decided to run for the office.
I'm just running.
Well, I used to run for the border, but now it's locked up. I can't get over there, so... They got this big wall thing going on. I can't get over there.
Oh, that's good.
Anyway, good morning to you. Happy Tuesday. A lot going on in the news. I don't know when there isn't. It's the ever-changing world. And you got to have a little levity in all this stuff, you know.
Yeah.
It is so serious. And it is. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to minimize the seriousness of things.
Right.
But man alive, come on, you know. If you're not careful, you wake up grumpy and you go to bed grumpy.
It's true.
You know,
and then what do you dream?
I know.
Grumpy.
Yeah. And the poor little dwarf that was grumpy, poor guy, he never was happy. You know, he never got anywhere. Anyway, good morning to you. A lot going on in the news. Happy Tuesday. Weather is kind of really nice today, and then it bumps a little bit, I guess. We'll kind of watch. It kind of goes up and down, but we're in a good trend right now. We'll take it.
Yeah.
Good morning to you. What's going on?
Well, it is National Repeat Day. Do you have a favorite song that you like to listen to over and over again? Maybe there's a TV series or a video stream that you really love and you watch it over and over again?
I have this new binge thing I'm watching.
What is it?
Somebody Feed Phil.
Somebody Feed Phil. Yeah, I've heard of this.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
it's like episode 7 right now, and I'm into it. I mean, it's got.
I love it.
And each episode has 10 programs.
Okay, yeah.
And this guy travels the world with his family, and he's a comedian, but he goes to all these places and goes to all the restaurants.
Well, that sounds like a great show.
It is.
Yeah.
I am absolutely enjoying it. The one I watched the other night was he was in San Diego. Chile.
Oh, okay. Oh, really?
And he gets into the culture. The only problem watching the show,
what?
This guy is constantly eating, and he's the size of a pencil.
Yeah, what is it with that? Right? What is it with that?
And the other thing is that I can't figure out. He's got to have your gut. He's got to have iron gut.
Why does he like hot stuff?
He likes anything.
Well, thanks.
I've only seen him turn his nose up on a few things. Otherwise, he
Really?
just. Anyway, that goes back to your point.
Yeah.
I repeat watching that.
Well, it's worth it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, enjoy it. It's also National Egg Day.
Egg.
Yeah, many eggs are, the big question is how many eggs? How many eggs can you safely eat each day? Because, there are issues with eggs. But we know that one egg provides an excellent source of protein, vitamin D, and at 75 calories and 5 grams of fat, it's an easy choice to satisfy hunger, too. And what would we do with all our baked goods without eggs?
Well, I don't know. I mean, chickens are us, I guess.
Well, make a macaroon out of it.
After they stop laying eggs, they show up at the rotisserie over at Costco.
Yeah, give me a deviled egg anytime.
Yeah.
And it is National Chocolate Macaroon Day.
Oh,
macaroons are made from shredded coconut, usually sweetened and sometimes toasted, floured sugar and sweetened condensed milk and egg whites as well. There you go. There's your eggs. Once the ingredients are combined, the mixture is dropped by spoonfuls onto baking sheets and baked. But since today is Chocolate Macaroon Day, chocolate is added to the batter to make a sweet sensation even sweeter. There you go.
I like macaroons.
I do too. What's not to like about it?
It's the only Girl Scout cookie I'd buy.
Oh, yeah.
But they were made 4 years before they're sold.
Oh, man, it's been a while. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I haven't had anybody try sell cookies to me in a while.
Well, I don't know. Did the Girl Scouts go the way of the Boy Scouts?
I think they did.
Is it just like Scouts America?
It's all woke now, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's all Scout. It's all a big umbrella with a rainbow on it.
Happy.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. Get out.
I got a good one for you.
All right.
Did you know that the inventor of Pringles, Pringles and the Pringles can?
Yeah.
The inventor of Pringles is buried in a Pringles can. In 1966, Frederick Bauer, check this out. Frederick Bauer in 66 developed the ingenious idea for Procter & Gamble to uniformly stack chips inside of a can instead of tossing them in a bag. He was so proud of his invention that he wanted to take it to the grave literally, so he communicated his burial wishes to his family, and when he died at age 89, his children stopped at a Walgreens on the way to the funeral home to buy his burial's Pringle can. They stopped at Walmart to buy the can. At Walgreens. They did have one decision to make, though. What flavor to use? Burr's eldest son said it was a tough one, but they said, look, we need to use the original. We can only assume he wouldn't have it any other way. So they put his ashes in a can of Pringles and buried it. I'm not kidding. Look at that. Very good, Alice. Thank you. That's outstanding.
That's really amazing.
This is a little factoid that I had no clue about. And see, I love Pringles.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're just fantastic.
Yeah.
But I will never look at a Pringles can the same again.
Especially if they're all broken at the bottom.
It's all crumbled. I think I'll pass.
That's okay.
Thank you very much.
Wow. So Mr. Bauer's all broken up down there?
Nice. Yeah. I don't know where he's buried, but it's in a Pringles can.
All right. Well, here's a guy that's going to be buried with 2 broken skis.
With a general area of high pressure parked over the Pacific Northwest, conditions will remain dry and warm. So today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, sunny skies with daytime highs in the mid to upper 70s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville. Continuing with sunny skies as we move down the Willamette Valley with daytime high temperatures in the mid to upper 70s for Salem, Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene with a north wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. Sunny and breezy across central Oregon today with daytime highs near 76 in Prineville, 74 in Bend and near 73 in Sun River. Over in Boise, Idaho, sunny with a high near 78, a northwest wind gusting up to 23 miles per hour. Along the Oregon coast, sunny and breezy with high temperatures in the low to mid 60s for Coos Bay, Port Orford, and Brookings. In Crescent City, sunny in upper 60s with the northwest wind gusting up to 40 miles per hour. In southern Oregon, sunny with Rogue Valley highs in the low 80s for Grants Pass, 84 in Medford and near 78 in Ashland. In the Klamath Basin, sunny in upper 70s with a northwest wind 5 to 11 miles per hour. Into northern California, sunny with a high in the mid 80s in Wairika. Sunny and hot for Redding with a high near 99 and Chico near 97, but sunny skies and low 90s for Sacramento with a light and variable wind. In the Bay Area, early patchy fog, then sunny in upper 70s for Santa Rosa, becoming sunny near 80 for Napa, sunny and breezy in San Francisco with a high in the upper 60s, and today in San Jose, sunny and low 80s. It's a look at your Tuesday weather on the Dove.
Hi, good morning to you. Beautiful day in the neighborhood, and there's a live shot from the top of Roxanne on the east side of the valley looking westward. That's actually panning to the north now. If you look over to the left side of that picture, if you look real close, and we just heard an airplane take off behind us, you should be able to see it lifting out there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hot dog.
There you go.
Great shot. Good morning. All right. Well, this is an interesting one. Dr. Anthony George says that all the trappings of modern ministry don't matter a bit if the hand of God isn't upon you.
Boy, all this screen up here, it has to be programmed. The technology is crazy. And I feel so blessed. But I want you to understand something. I think about this all the time. None of all of this matters, none of this matters without the hand of God being upon us. The hand of God is all that matters. Buildings and technology and screens and greatness, all that stuff, that's nothing but tools that we want to use to reach people. But what really matters is the hand of God. So more than anything else, I want His hand on my life. I want His hand on our church. I want His hand on your life. Don't you want His hand on your life? And let me tell you something. It's better to have His hand on your life than to have His hand against your life. Because no one, no matter how slick they think they are, can fight God and win. Nobody. God always wins. So I don't want His hand outstretched against me. I want His hand upon me. And that's what we should all pray for in our lives and in our church. The hand of the Lord was upon them. So I wonder, can you say today that the hand of the Lord is upon you?
Wow.
Well, that is so powerful.
Yeah.
One of the great mysteries that I track only because I think we all have to be sensitive to it. There seems to be a pattern of ministries that fall, that fail.
Yeah.
And the part of the mystery to me that is so interesting is at what point was the hand of God lifted, but they kept on operating as if it was there?
Oh, that's huge, yeah.
So at what point do you feel like you kept walking, but God stopped? You know, the old footprints in the sand, you saw two people walking, and then they say, well, then I only saw one, and that's when He picked you up. I get that. But there is also this case where all of a sudden, God stopped and you kept walking. At what point did you realize that He wasn't with you? I remember interviewing a very prominent minister one time that failed, and he said, 95% of my life was in order, but the 5% that I concealed from God brought down a $125 million a year ministry.
Wow.
So, when's the last time you felt the transcendence of God in your life? I can't answer that for you, but every once in a while you need to stop and say, is God in this?
Yeah,
or am I in this?
Well, that's a great point, too, because we come into, the various areas of service or ministry that we come into because we know we're being led by God. You know, you come in with this strong purpose. How does it slip away?
I think routine. I think that you begin to believe your own press releases.
Yeah, yes, that's great. Yes.
You begin to sense that you move to an area of subconsciously thinking that you're somewhat infallible.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's easy to look at other ministries and judge. Don't get me wrong, and that puts us in the same category. But I guess one of my greatest fears in leading a ministry is I always think of Billy Graham. He's one of the few that ended well.
Yeah, true.
And so, anyway, so much for that.
Okay.
All right, let's take a look at some of the big stories. And the auto pen.
Oh, gosh.
The auto pen is a device that is used by presidents to automatically affix the signature to a document if the president is out and running around and he's busy and he okays it. And they auto pen it.
Yeah.
Well, that has become a big question now in the previous administration. Was President Biden cognitive of using the auto pen, or was the auto pen used by staff members and he knew nothing about it?
I think there is some evidence that indicates that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Ed Martin, now Ed Martin is an interesting guy. I've had Ed Martin on the show numerous times. He was state chairman of his party when I was state chairman of Oregon.
Yeah.
He ended up overseeing the Phyllis Schlafly Foundation, which is a great organization. Yeah. And he got tabbed to be the U.S. attorney in Washington, D.C., but he didn't get through the process because they didn't like his stands on the January 6th thing. Right. So a bunch of people voted against him. So the president still appoints him to work inside the DOJ. And his assignment now is to investigate the auto pen of former President Biden as it relates to pardons. I have no idea how you go about investigating
How do you investigate that? Who do you talk to?
I don't know.
Okay.
The only way this thing can break, there's suspicion, obviously, that all of these things happened and the president really didn't know, or he really wasn't cognitive totally. He said, oh, yeah, go ahead, or whatever.
Right.
Okay. He might have okayed this person but didn't okay that person.
Right.
When you look at the people that were giving preemptive immunities, Liz Cheney, Dr. Fauci, Adam Schiff, and the list goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
You kind of wonder, why did these people get, and why did they need an immunity?
Yeah, why did they,
So anyway, Ed's on top of it. Here's a little bit of a comment.
I certainly think that my job as pardon attorney will be to make clear how the pardons work. And I think that no one, I think, with the standard of sort of reasonableness, thinks that what Joe Biden did at the end of his term was particularly reasonable. Now, I happen to think the pardon power is plenary. If you use the auto pen for a pardon power, I don't think that that's necessarily a problem. But the question is, how did this happen? Just like, by the way, many people said, well, wait, there's 1,500 January 6 pardons. How did that happen? These are big moments, and so they have to be able to withstand scrutiny. And I do think that the Biden pardons need some scrutiny. And they need scrutiny because we want pardons to matter and to be accepted and to be something that's used correctly. So I do think we're going to take a hard look at how they went and what they did. And if they're, I don't know, null and void, I'm not sure that how that operates. But I can tell you I've had in my current position, or my position as U.S. Attorney, we've had been taking a look at some of the conduct surrounding the pardons and the Biden White House.
Whoa.
Okay, so I guess the question now is, can they be undone?
Well, you know,
are they invalid?
That is the $64 question. He mentioned it there too. He says, "What goes next? Are they invalidated? Are they? This is new ground."
It is new ground.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, the other thing is Rand Paul's kind of all over the place. He's an interesting guy.
Yeah.
I will say one thing about Senator Rand Paul. I really was impressed with him as a doctor. He is a medical doctor. He's an eye doctor. By the way, on his days off, he still volunteers and does work, at clinics and things.
Yeah.
He's basically saying he can be with the president on some things and against the president. he's an interesting guy.
Yeah. And is he officially a libertarian? What is?
I think he is.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And he's a hawk when it comes to money.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Well, in the meantime, he's basically saying that he says that the Democrats are adrift as a party without identity right now. But he warns the Republicans could face term election if they too lose their identity. And basically what he means by that, hey guys, you cannot be talking about shrinking government while at the same time you're increasing government.
Yes, yeah.
Duh.
Yeah.
And so you kind of go, okay, this is legit.
Yep. Yep.
He's basically talking about his frustration with the big, beautiful bill. He goes on to say there's a lot of parts about the bill that I like, a lot that I don't like. It's still to be determined whether the big, beautiful bill adds to the deficit or not. Okay? Now, the problem with the big, beautiful bill is it's expensive, but it also cuts, and it relies a lot on cutting things too. So it's kind of this mixed bag. So there's, we'll see where this goes. But in the meantime, he says the Democrats have no chance of winning the debate about the border. The president didn't talk about it. He just shut it down. He goes on to say that the Democrats are losing by trying to push the transgender thing.
Yeah.
It's a losing deal.
Yeah.
LGBTQism is a losing deal. Anti-Semitism is a losing deal. And trying to bring back people that have been deported is a losing deal. So what is the message of the Democrat?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think they are adrift. They have no leader.
They only have one message, and it's block Trump or hate Trump. That's all they have.
Yeah, and look, the guy that's going to run up the middle here is going to be Gavin Newsom. And the question is, will they hang California on his beak?
Yeah, they will. Yeah,
I mean, he needs it to happen.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
and he's trying to walk on both sides of the street right now. You know, he says that this transgender thing, boys competing against girls is really unfair. But the policies in California that allow it to happen came from him.
Yeah, it's California is going to see a quick rude awakening when they're asking for an audit now who remains in girls' sports that is a biological male.
Yeah.
The administration's asking, and we saw this young gal these two gals that stood off the podium at the Oregon State track meet.
You're right.
Did you know that the guy that was handing out the awards scolded them?
Really?
After they stepped away from the podium, the official that was managing the podium scolded them, said, "Get out of the picture."
No.
So, got a ways to go on that one.
Yeah, a long ways to go. Yeah.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, the big, beautiful bill, House Republican tax bill, is a major factor for Main Street. Talks about the tax cuts, all the problems we have, and permanent increase in some small business tax deductions from 20% to 23%, which is a good deal. I haven't seen the bill. I haven't seen the itemization of the bill. I probably should take the time and research that.
Okay.
I'm looking for things like corporate tax rates. I'm looking for things like, will the inheritance tax go down, all these other things. Okay. Well, some people are looking at it now, and quite a few people are saying, especially small business owners, this could be a big deal for small business. And here's a little bit of a video that explains it.
Congress is advancing tax cuts legislation that would give small businesses a big boost. But exactly what pro-small business provisions are included in the bill? Let's break it down. 1. The small business tax deduction is increased from 20% to 23%, saving millions of entrepreneurs money they can reinvest to create economic opportunity. 2. Lower individual tax rates are made permanent, which is great news for 95% of small businesses that file taxes as pass-throughs. 3. 100% immediate expensing for capital equipment is restored, encouraging small businesses to modernize and expand operations to boost productivity. 4. Small businesses that invest in research and development can expense those costs right away, sparking innovation and helping them stay competitive. 5. Federal taxes on tips and overtime pay are eliminated, putting more money in the pockets of service workers and strengthening the growing gig economy. 6. A larger standard deduction will reduce taxable income, helping ordinary small business owners keep more of what they earn. 7. Tax incentives for domestic manufacturing will reward companies that keep jobs and production here in the United States. 8. The tax code is simplified, which will give small businesses more time to serve customers rather than fill out paperwork. Studies show these small business tax cuts will increase economic growth and encourage investment. Dynamic effects that will grow tax revenue just like after the first Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was passed.
So there's a summary.
Yeah.
There's some good things in there, so we'll see how it goes. All right, well, that's pretty much it. What is today? Oh, macaroon.
Macaroon, yeah.
Macaroon. Not everybody likes coconut.
That's true.
I do.
Yeah, I do too.
We'll be right back.
I'll take it.
You gotta pray till you break the brakes through the ceiling. Keep on believing. Don't you give up. Don't you give up.
Your property demands equipment with more reliability, durability, and versatility built in. Kubota equipment is ready to get the job done right.
Chris Silva understands your home and your commercial buildings are two of the largest investments most people make in a lifetime. One is for your family, the other is to support your family financially. That is why Chris Silva Painting goes the extra mile to protect both homes and commercial buildings with proper painting preparation and high-quality primers and paints. Serving Southern Oregon since 2006, this family-owned and operated business has painted over 1,000 homes. Chris Silva Painting offers an industry-leading 5-year warranty that covers materials and labor on all painting projects work for both residential and commercial buildings, both interior and exterior painting. Chris and his crew are courteous, they are efficient, organized, timely, and clean. Chris Silva Painting also offers military discounts. At Chris Silva Painting, our mission statement is to bring Christ's heart and principles to our customers and our job sites. We do that with honesty, integrity, and hard work. We don't cut corners, we paint them. CCB number 176097. Chris Silva Painting, 541-890-3960.
Worried that inflation might burst your retirement bubble? I'm Michelle Slate. Lighthouse Financial shines guiding light on retirement, investing, and insurance. Helping you navigate the stormy seas of retirement, Lighthouse stands tall as a beacon of hope, offering you wise counsel and biblically responsible investing. Lighthouse Financial. Call us today, 541-494-1034.
At Sweet Tea Express, we've got you covered. Order at the counter and our friendly service staff will do the rest. Burgers, salads, sandwiches, barbecue platters, sides, and more. Smoked, grilled, and served to perfection. Sweet Tea Express. Breakfast, burgers, and barbecue.
All right, good morning to you. 24 minutes past the hour of on a beautiful Tuesday morning. This next story, I really wrestled whether or not I ought to bring it this morning because it's early in the morning and it's hard to take stuff like this. But I decided to bring it to you for a couple of reasons. If there's ever a time where ministries need to be vigilant, it's now. I don't know what security systems your church has. But we cannot play around with the culture. It's interesting times, dangerous times, and times that you have to be vigilant. But there was a series of stabbings outside a shelter in Salem a couple of days ago. 12 people were some severe, according to the police, and the suspect now is in custody. It happened at 7:15 in the evening outside of the Salem Union Gospel Mission there in Northeast Commercial Street, and I know exactly where that is. And they allegedly stabbed several people inside the shelter, a welcoming center, before exiting the mission and stabbing several people outside. Now, why did I bring this to you? I got to say this carefully. We've had our share of incidences. We're media. We talk about politics, sex, and religion.
Right.
The three things that were taboo years ago.
Oh, yeah.
You never did this on media. Today, it is headlines of everything. Thoughts and prayers go out, but I want to say if you're part of a ministry, what we call a parachurch ministry, something that's outside your church, maybe you're with Hearts with the Mission, or you're with Rock Recovery, or you're with, turnaround cafe downtown. I mean, maybe you're with the Salvation Army.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Food access. Maybe you're with one of the pregnancy centers.
Oh, yeah.
These are interesting times, and there's a fine line of being vigilant and being cavalier and being seen as maybe unwelcoming. And you have to just find your balance here and where you're going to go. But folks, I bring the story to you. If your church, I know what our church does. You know what your church does.
Right, yeah.
We don't need to make that public.
True.
But your church should have some kind of well thought out security measures in place.
Absolutely. Yep.
And people that are in charge of that.
Yep.
That's the times in which we live. So our thoughts and prayers go out to them. All right, let's take a look at the satellite image out there this morning. Severe clear is the, oh gosh, this is when I miss flying.
I'm sorry. I get it, though.
Well,
yeah, I do.
Just get up and go somewhere, And but look at that. The West Coast is pretty much in beautiful weather and will be for the next several days. So,
yeah. Is it true that the propeller is there simply to keep the pilot cool?
Yeah. Okay. And when it stops, you'll see how uncool. That's when he begins to sweat. When the propeller's going, he's happy. When it's not, he starts to sweat. Yeah, that's pretty much what happens there.
All right, I just wanted to clear that up.
By the way, when you see a plane, it's the propeller that makes the noise in the air more than the engine.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
All right. Oh.
Unless it's a jet.
And you know what? That makes a lot of sense because what do you hear first from a helicopter? Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, unless it's a jet or a turbine.
Oh, yeah.
They have a little to it,
Yeah. Hey,
which still on my bucket list.
Well, it's a good day for it.
Yeah. There you go.
All right. Well, let me ask you. You remember the days when we were seeing some videos of President Biden, and it was apparent that he had some cognitive issues. We kept seeing those on some of the more conservative media outlets, but on the liberal media outlets, CNN, MSNBC, and the such, they were basically running stories about conservative conspiracy and deep fake videos that were being altered to make the president look vulnerable.
Yeah.
Well, now that it's all come out, and where it came out was the debate with Trump. He was destroyed on that. Well, now some of these folks are turning. You remember Jake Tapper? He was defending hardcore. He went so hard after Laura Trump, it was unbelievable. And now he's cashing in on it. He's written a book, exposing this side of the president that they were hiding. Well, Representative Jim Jordan responds to this clip of Democrats talking about former President Joe Biden's cognitive state and discusses Democrats' position on Biden's mental decline.
Would the Democratic Party have been stronger had President Biden dropped out of the race sooner or not run at all?
Kristen, here's what we absolutely know about last year's election. It's over. And I'm going to spend all of my energy focused on the task in front of us.
I had never seen him and walked away thinking he can't do this anymore. He was always on top of his brief.
You never saw any cognitive decline?
So I didn't know anything about any of this.
Is he lying? Well, I don't think it's accurate what he's saying. I mean, I read Tapper's book last week, and they admitted what we all saw all the time. I always say the left has a template. The left will tell a lie. Joe Biden's just fine. The mainstream media will report the lie. Big tech will amplify the lie. And then when you tell the truth, they call you names. They call you racist or whatever else. Or they'll say, oh, you're attacking him because he had a stutter. No, there wasn't anything about that. We all saw that Joe Biden wasn't up to the job. Now the press is finally admitting it. I think that's the big takeaway for me is you guys knew all along. And there were a core group, and this comes out in the book, there were a core group around the president, Klain, Zients, Donlin, Ricchetti, these key guys around the president, who, according to the book, were making all the decisions. They were running they were running the protection from Joe Biden, making sure no one really got to see him any worse than what we did. So, the idea that he's fine is just everyone knows that we all got common.
He makes a good point there about the template, and they use it over and over again.
Here's the problem. We saw some ratings yesterday. MSNBC and CNN are trying hard to find a spark to regain. And MSNBC rearranged some of their staff yesterday and some of their hosts. I say yesterday. It's been done over the last month or so. And they came out. Who was the former White House press secretary? What was her name?
The last one, or
the one before
Jen Psaki.
Yeah,
Psaki,
okay.
yeah.
And she's one of the co-hosts, and the ratings fell through the floor.
Right. Yeah.
And so their template is broken. Okay. CNN cannot pull more than 300,000 there in prime time. Look, it's easy to criticize these guys, but the bottom line is, in our business, you don't have an audience, you're not in business.
And even your old friend Michael Steele's not really pulling the numbers either.
No, and I don't. That's a I need to talk to Michael privately on the phone to find out what happened to him. But the point is that the Democrats are excellent at what he just said, at using that template. But the template now is broken. Yeah. Because they don't have the third leg of their stool. Their media source doesn't have any credibility anymore. It continues to fall in credibility. Now, are you going to read Tapper's book as being official? Give me a break.
Yeah.
The lack of integrity.
Right.
That he's now going to come out and be the whistleblower and the champion for the left for telling the truth.
Yeah.
When you were the great purveyor of the lie,
right?
It's just it's staggering.
You know who's asking for a apology from him is Laura Trump.
Yeah, it's I don't know. There's no use getting upset about it. It's falling apart on its own.
Yes.
And so you just let it go. Yeah. And it's sad. I said, I'm waiting. Come on, Elon, buy a network.
Yeah. Right.
Buy one of these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Buy CNN, change it to ENN. I don't care. Buy one of these networks and turn it around. You know what you're not. You know what you're buying. You're not buying a building with a bunch of people in it and some equipment.
Okay.
You're buying access to the satellite.
Oh yeah.
You're buying channel position.
Right. Right.
And boy, that's got value. And but before they are actually in the tank and they're no good and they actually fall out of bed, you ought to try to buy one now.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man.
It's easy for me to say when I'm trying to keep the lights on around this place.
ENN. That's really good.
Yeah. ENN.
ENN. That's great.
Well, if we bought it, we'd call it DNN.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Done. We'll be right back.
Since 1987, Four Seasons Nursery has been the gold standard in the green industry here in Southern Oregon. Tim Elbert and his friendly staff continue to offer the best plants and most accurate knowledge to create your dream landscape. At Four Seasons Nursery on Crater Lake Avenue, you can let your imagination run wild with a huge selection of all things plant and gardening for both inside and outside beautification. Whether it's a flower for your window seal, one of our beautifully renowned signature hanging baskets, or a complete landscape design for your entire property, Four Seasons Nursery can help you every step of the way with design services, workshops, and more. Let your imagination run wild as you immerse yourself in their nursery filled with beauty that knows no bounds. Four Seasons Nursery, 5736 Crater Lake Avenue, 5736 Crater Lake Avenue, 1/2 mile north of Vilas Road, 541-779-5603, 541-779-5603.
Grange Co-op, where big ideas grow.
Good morning to you. Welcome to the Jerry Building Hour.
Oh, no.
Where we have a lot of fun making fun of them.
Yeah, we do that. Yeah.
Anyway, good morning to you. 24 minutes.
We have good material to work with.
Well, that's true. Break your other leg.
Yeah, thanks.
No, I don't know. I was telling him earlier, I said, I bet you don't ski the same day you used to when you get your leg back.
Well, that's to be seen. We'll see. Yeah, there might, and it may be something that I decide to, change.
Well, you don't know yet, but I'm assuming you will probably wear a brace when you ski a little support.
No, because my brakes are actually inside my ski boot. That's my brace.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's in my boot.
Okay.
Besides that, I already have a brace above it from an old injury.
Not to mention the 2 pieces of metal and 12 screws that are in your leg.
Yes.
Gosh, I don't know. Well, hang in there, buddy.
What am I laughing at?
We have well, it's fun to make fun of.
Yeah, I know.
But we have this bet going on. We bet at theDove. We're betters. Kind of, sort of. That's a joke.
Yeah.
Okay, so as to when he's going to ski next year.
Right.
And my bet is on that you'll be skiing the second weekend the mountains open.
Okay, and that's a good bet because we keep our skis in the locker up at Mount Ashland, and I wasn't there to get them out at the end last weekend. And you're supposed to clear your locker out, so I called them up and I said, "Hey, my skis are in my locker." I said, "I need to come get them," and they said, "Well, we lock it up. Let us know when you're coming up to get them. We'll open the door and you can get them out." And I said, "Okay, great." But the guy said, "Hey, are you going to ski next year? Are you going to use it next year?" I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, keep your skis in there over the summer." I said, "Enough said. Thank you very much." So my skis are waiting for me. So, you know what that means? Opening weekend or the second weekend, like you said.
Yeah, well, I think it's the second weekend that the mountain's open. But would you like me to drive you up there to get your skis? You want to go up there and take a look around? You want to go see the rock?
I haven't been up there in a little while.
We can take our little Kubota machine that we go to the mountaintops with.
Oh, I like that.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Where we go to the towers.
Yeah.
We'll drive you up there. You can see the rock you fell on. Okay. All right. So much for that. Let's check in with CBN Newswatch.
This is CBN Newswatch.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Despite the success of the new humanitarian efforts in the Gaza Strip, millions of people still are facing hunger. It comes under attack on the ground at the UN and in the media. The battle over food is perhaps the last front line in Israel's war with Hamas. U.S. Ambassador Mike Huckabee blasted the U.S. media, saying in a statement, quote, "Without verification of any source other than Hamas and its collaborators," the New York Times, CNN, the Associated Press reported that a number of people seeking to receive humanitarian food boxes from the Gaza Humanitarian Fund were shot or killed by the Israeli Defense Forces. These reports were false. Huckabee demanded an immediate retraction and appealed to all media to act with professionalism and not blindly follow Hamas's news releases. Meanwhile, at the UN Security Council, Israeli Ambassador Danny Danon accused the UN of mafia-like tactics against the IDF. He says the UN is actively joining Hamas to block that aid by using threats, intimidation, and retaliation against NGOs who choose to participate in the new humanitarian mechanism. Our CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell is with us now from Jerusalem. Chris, is Hamas accusing Israel for propaganda purposes?
George, I think that's exactly what they're doing. And you should know, you've been there in Gaza during one of the wars in years past, and they use the media many times or suppress the media from reporting on things they don't want to hear. But actually, they use the media to report on things that serve their propaganda purposes. And this is a prime example of what happened. It was early Sunday morning when they said that dozens of people, at least 30 people, had been killed, scores wounded, and it was all blaming on the IDF. Later, it came out clearly that the security camera footage of the humanitarian aid center at that time of the alleged shooting, there was nothing going on. And so, however, CNN, ABC, not ABC, but CNN, BBC, and AP ran with the story, the New York Times as well. And that's why Ambassador Huckabee came out with a statement yesterday really castigating them for what they did. And sort of it is exactly what it is, a propaganda purposes. Unfortunately, the story goes out before the retractions come and before it's clear of what did not happen. And as somebody said, I think it was Winston Churchill, the truth goes halfway around the world before the lie gets halfway around the world before the truth gets its pants on.
Yeah. Chris, why does Hamas consider these aid stations such a threat? I mean, after all, this is helping their own people.
It is. However, what it does is it goes around Hamas. It avoids this aid going through Hamas. And for months, Hamas has been stealing the aid, hoarding the aid, and actually using the fact that many Gazans may not get as much aid as they need, blaming Israel for them being hungry or even starving. So they also use the aid to fund their war machine. They sell this aid back to their own people at exorbitant prices. So if it goes around them, they lose the control of the population. They start losing some of their funds they're depending on. And so it really is a very serious threat to Hamas. And as it said in the intro, you know, the last front line, perhaps, they're getting really hurt militarily on the ground. But this leverage of the food was one thing they still had remaining over the population. And these is why these humanitarian aid centers are a deep, serious threat to Hamas's rule in the Gaza Strip.
Let's move to Iran. A top diplomat for the Iranian regime saying that this new U.S. proposal to end the regime's decades-old nuclear dispute is a non-starter. How important is it for Israel that Iran not continue to enrich its uranium?
Well, this is the real focus point for Israel, Iran, and the U.S. For Israel, they don't want Iran to continue to enrich uranium because that's going to lead eventually to a nuclear weapon. Iran says it has a national right to enrich uranium. They still say it's for peaceful purposes, but to enrich uranium to 60% and potentially to 90% weapons-grade uranium, there's no peaceful purposes for those. And so this seems to be the game changer, the red lines for President Trump coming out and saying no enrichment. Iran is saying we need to enrich. Israel is actually waiting and watching right now, George, because they would prefer to really just once and for all eliminate Iran's nuclear program with a military strike that's been preparing for many, many years.
All right, there you go. We'll keep an eye on it. Something's brewing. We'll see what happens. I don't know. You know, I think it's so interesting to flip through the channels and see the speculations.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. All right, good morning to you. You don't have to speculate. He's spot on. He does the weather here.
With a general area of high pressure parked over the Pacific Northwest, conditions will remain dry and warm. So today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, sunny skies with daytime highs in the mid to upper 70s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville. Continuing with sunny skies as we move down the Willamette Valley with daytime high temperatures in the mid to upper 70s for Salem, Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene with a north wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. Sunny and breezy across central Oregon today with daytime highs near 76 in Prineville, 74 in Bend and near 73 in Sun River. Over in Boise, Idaho, sunny with a high near 78, a northwest wind gusting up to 23 miles per hour. Along the Oregon coast, sunny and breezy with high temperatures in the low to mid 60s for Coos Bay, Port Orford, and Brookings. In Crescent City, sunny in upper 60s with the northwest wind gusting up to 40 miles per hour. In southern Oregon, sunny with Rogue Valley highs in the low 80s for Grants Pass, 84 in Medford and near 78 in Ashland. In the Klamath Basin, sunny in upper 70s with a northwest wind 5 to 11 miles per hour. Into northern California, sunny with a high in the mid 80s in Wairika. Sunny and hot for Redding with a high near 99 and Chico near 97, but sunny skies and low 90s for Sacramento with a light and variable wind. In the Bay Area, early patchy fog, then sunny in upper 70s for Santa Rosa, becoming sunny near 80 for Napa, sunny and breezy in San Francisco with a high in the upper 60s, and today in San Jose, sunny in low 80s. It's a look at your Tuesday weather on the Dove.
All right, there we go. Happy Tuesday to you. That is the Tuesday look of the beautiful Rogue Valley. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
We call that home.
Yeah.
That's our backyard.
All right.
All right.
Well, you know, when we think about the early advances in electronics, about electricity, bringing electricity to the world, we think about people like Edison, maybe Tesla, the laboratories back east where a lot of this work was going on. But it was on this day in history that a huge advance in electronic technology took place, and took place between Oregon City and Portland, Oregon.
On June 3, 1889, the future of America flickered to life along a 14-mile stretch from Willamette Falls in Oregon City to Portland, Oregon. It was here, amid the midst of the mighty waterfall, that engineers flipped the switch on the nation's first long-distance electric power transmission line. Electricity surged silently through the wooden poles and copper wires, reaching a city where few, if any, homes were wired to receive it. In a world still lit by gas lamps and candlelight, the power was destined not for households, but for streetcars and industry. Yet it was a beginning. What made this moment remarkable was not just the distance, 14 miles was unheard of, but the vision. It proved that energy could be generated far from where it was used, shaping the modern power grid. From the thundering falls to the glowing street lamps of Portland, America's electric age had begun, not in New York or Chicago, but in the Pacific Northwest.
How about that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and that's and it's one of the reasons, you know, that was the divide between Tesla and Edison, was AC and DC. Edison was a DC guy, direct current. Obviously, Tesla was an alternating current, and it boiled down to how far you could deliver that product. DC, they had to build substations that service small areas, geographic areas. But as was displayed here, going from Oregon City to Portland, alternating current could be sent a long ways away, and therefore that's the way we went. So that's why we have alternating current in all of our outlets.
Are you AC or DC at home? Wasn't that a rock band?
It is. AC/DC was a rock band. And we can't even repeat the titles of some of their songs.
Oh, boy.
This is a family show.
You'll figure out which one you are.
That's funny. Oh, my goodness.
Okay. Peter Wooding. I know Peter very well. He's UCB there in the UK. Anyway, Peter's all over the place. He's with Global News Alliance, and he has an interesting gathering this past Christmas where 100 pastors from 60 denominations around the world got together in London for what they call Shine Your Light evangelistic event.
Over 100 Christian leaders gathered at Portcullis House in Westminster in London recently for a parliamentary reception to celebrate Shine Your Light, a nationwide evangelistic movement taking the gospel onto the streets and marketplaces across the UK each Christmas and Pentecost. The event was hosted by Member of Parliament Jim Shannon.
So the whole life of Jesus is about shining the light. That's what we're trying to do, shine the light on the message of the Lord Jesus. Come into this world at Christmas to be the Saviour for us. That's a wonderful story.
Shine Your Light is organised by the National Day of Prayer and Worship, and last year's Christmas campaign reached more than 1 million people. Many at the reception testified to the impact this initiative is having across the UK, not just on the streets but in different spheres of society. Deborah Akinlawan is with the Christian Police Association.
We started off being involved with Shine Your Light last year, and that was our first time as a Christian Police Association with carol services all across the UK in different police stations, in different police headquarters, and it's been amazing to see how the light of Jesus Christ has been shone throughout police stations and on the streets.
And Warren Evans shared how they were able to share the real meaning of Christmas through their ministry, Sports Chaplaincy UK.
Christmas, it gives us that unique opportunity to proclaim the good news of Jesus, that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. We're encouraging our chaplains to join in and do that in sports clubs, in their stadiums, in wherever they gather, wherever their athletes are, football players, rugby players, to get involved and to be hands and feet of Jesus, shining their light this Christmas.
And plans for Shine Your Light 2025 were announced at the event, starting with a 72-hour prayer focus over Pentecost weekend in June, and a weekend of Christmas evangelistic events in December. Peter Wooding reporting for the Global News Alliance in London, England.
Well, this is good. And the UK is going through a lot of issues.
boy.
Gosh, they got more challenges than any. Well, they're no different than anybody else. We got our challenges too. So, all right, let's take a quick break on macaroons. Looking for the macaroon.
We will see it with our own eyes. Out of this darkness, new light will shine.
Finding that next great series to binge watch is fun, but your neck, shoulders, and body don't count that as me time. Hi, I'm Tamara Miller, owner of Organic Element Spa, and I invite you to put down the remote, get off the couch, and schedule yourself some real me or we time with your favorite service, like one of our many massages, couples massages, or facials. Your health, safety, and comfort are always top priority with us at Organic Element Spa. We can't wait to see you. Book your appointment today.
Cliff Connectley travels across America to give an answer to questions, doubts, and challenges concerning faith.
So one of the reasons I believe that God exists.
Join him for Give Me an Answer, weekdays on the Dove TV.
Don't miss this. After being stripped, beaten, locked, and left to suffer, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God. They chose to praise God in the middle of horrible circumstances. If we're worshiping God with resolution today, we will learn to worship God in persecution tomorrow. We need to learn how to worship God. Know this, when you come to church every Sunday, this is a rehearsal. We're learning to praise God, not just for now, but for the days coming when we will not need praise just for our own edification, but for our own protection. Praise is a weapon. You and I get to choose how we respond to persecution. We can respond in anger, or we can resolve to worship and amplify the values of God's kingdom. When the time comes, I pray that you and I will have the courage to make the right choice. And we resolve to worship even in the midst of mistreatment. God will get the glory, and victory will be ours.
Okay, good morning to you. Happy Tuesday. The Heritage Foundation, one of the great organizations that are out there, they have all kinds of, if you don't get the little booklet, you got to, at least I get it every month, every year, 2 weeks or whatever, it's great. Anyway, National Security President and Vice President of National Security Victoria Coates weighs in on Hamas looking at Israel's hostages and in the middle of the war and what to do about it, and here's their take.
Yeah, no, Hamas is simply not a reasonable actor. They're the ones who started this on October 7th and have been dragging out this war ever since, preventing humanitarian assistance from getting to the Palestinians in Gaza and holding these hostages now for well over 500 days. It's absolutely disgraceful. And rather than putting pressure on Israel, which we saw out of our European allies, out of the UK, out of France over the weekend, condemning Israel for what's happening, when Hamas is the ones that started this, Hamas is the ones who are holding those innocents hostage. And they are the ones who should be pressured. And I think the administration should send that message to our Qatari and Egyptian allies. Look, this isn't a negotiation anymore. These are terms that are being laid out. If anyone wants to survive in the Hamas leadership, then they need to lay down their arms, surrender, and give the hostages back. And then we can talk. Yeah. But the idea that we're getting into some kind of diplomatic dance with these terrorists is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
Yeah, you bet. All right. Well, all moms and dads, heads up. Here's an alert. A new study reveals a very positive ingredient in raising your babies.
In a quiet corner of a nursery, a lullaby drifts through the air, and science is now singing its praises. A new study published in the Journal of Child Development reveals that when parents sing more often to their babies, something remarkable happens. Conducted by an international team of researchers from New Zealand, Canada, the United States, and the Netherlands, the study explored a music enrichment program that encouraged caregivers to sing regularly. The result? Happier babies and healthier parents. The findings show that this simple act not only uplifts a child's mood, but also reduces stress and promotes emotional well-being in moms and dads. In a world filled with screens and schedules, the humble lullaby emerges as a powerful tool for connection, comfort, and care. Sometimes the most profound science begins with a simple song.
And sometimes we get a study with results that come out, and a lot of moms and grandmas say, I already knew that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did you sing to your kids?
Yep.
Did Pam sing?
No.
Oh. Okay, got it. All right. All right, good morning to you. Well, I'm not a singer. Peggy is. So
yes, she is.
Yeah, I'm not the singer. All right, Psalm 133:1. This is good. Take it with you today. How good and pleasant it is when God's people live together in unity. You know, smile at somebody today. It might set them on fire. Ooh, look at that.
Excursions, you feel the power of the mighty Rogue River as you take in the sights and sounds of nature, journey through Hellgate Canyon, and adventure through the breathtaking wilderness. Enjoy brunch or dinner on the open-air deck of the exclusive Hellgate River Lodge, and end your adventure with our exciting jet boat spins. It's a memory in the making with family and friends. Book your adventure at Hellgate.com. Hellgate Jet Boat Excursions, where adventure runs wild.
Co-op, where big ideas grow.
Welcome to Rise Direct Primary Care. Imagine a healthcare experience where you're known by name, cared for like family, and treated with compassion. How is that possible? With an affordable, flat monthly membership, you receive unlimited primary care and minor urgent care visits. No insurance needed. At Rise Direct Primary Care, we offer a friendly, affordable healthcare experience where you get a whole hour with your provider. Located in Central Medford and accessible by phone or text, we can typically get you in the same or next day. We prescribe urgent care medications directly from our office, saving you a trip and wait time at the pharmacy when you'd rather be at home getting better. Personalized medical care with a human touch. Rise Direct Primary Care is all about healing the sick with compassion and keeping the healthy healthy. Rise Direct Primary Care. We're here for you. Visit risehealthdpc.com or call or text us 541-827-8603. 541-827-8603.
How can Christian parents train their kids to know and follow God's design for sexuality in a culture that increasingly rejects it?
Join us as we uncover the damaging misinformation being fed to your children on sexuality and gender identity, and learn effective strategies for grounding them in biblical truth with confidence and grace.
Join me for the John Ankerberg Show weekdays at 4 o'clock right here on the Dove TV. It'll be encouraging and informative.
Focus Today. Focusing on issues affecting you. Join Perry Atkinson weekdays only on the Dove TV.
Well, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Mornings on the Dove. Happy Tuesday. This is where it happens. This is silently watched by millions.
Silently? That's the key.
Most media people are peeking in to see what's going on here right now because this is where they get their show prep.
Oh, yeah. Oh, boy.
I remember Rush Limbaugh saying that.
Yeah, that sounds kind of like a Russianism.
Yeah, he'd say, this is the show everybody's getting the show prep from. Anyway, good morning to you. Happy Tuesday. A lot going on in the news. There always is. The weather is spectacular. Hopefully you are enjoying it. Fire season is underway. Be careful out there. It's already getting pretty dry in some areas, so be careful. And Jerry Building's in town.
Yes,
and,
indeed.
The blood pressure of everybody just kind of went.
Someplace depends on which corner you're looking in. But good morning.
Anybody driving behind him, it went up. But anyway, good morning to you. What's up, man? What's got going?
Well, today is National Repeat Day.
Repeat.
You have a favorite song or a TV series or an episode you just can't get enough of. You know, there are some people that watch movies over and over and over again. Is there anything that catches your attention like that?
Well, lately I've been hooked on a new series called Someone Feed Phil.
Someone Feed Phil.
It is great.
Okay.
Because I love cooking shows, but this takes it to a whole new level. And he travels the world literally with his family, and his brother's like his cameraman and producer. And they go to these various countries and cultures, and they get right into the heart of the culture of the country, and they go to the heart of the culture food. And this guy, you watch this thing, you wonder why this guy isn't 500 pounds. But he's about the size of this. He's about the size of a pencil.
Yeah, that means he only eats on TV.
He's a comedian. He's a funny guy.
Oh, okay.
But it's really a great series.
All right. Okay. Well, whatever.
I'm on episode 7, I think, volume number 10 or something like that.
You know, that's good stuff to watch, though. If you're watching, shows about food, you're not getting anything that's making you mad, getting you riled up. Food, that's, what more comfortable viewing can you?
Now let me just say on the outset, if you go there, he is a little on the woke side.
Is he?
Okay, but he's a Jew.
Oh.
Okay, he's Jewish. He's a nice guy. He's funny and all this and that. And every once in a while you hear a comment and go, "Oh, that's too bad." But if you can look past that and see what he's eating, it's pretty neat.
Well, speaking of eat, it's National Egg Day.
Yeah,
eggs are healthy in your diet, but I think there's a big question: how many eggs can we eat each week? Because
each week.
Each week. Okay. Well, are you saying 2 a day? So that's like.
Well, I have 2 when I have them.
Yeah, me too.
I don't have eggs every day.
Do you have your favorite way to prepare your eggs?
Well, that's a great question. They're prepared all ways. Poached eggs are good. I like a good old fried egg with bacon grease.
Oh, I do too. In the first stages of my shatter, I was in bed. I couldn't get out for anything. So Pam was cooking me eggs every morning because protein's important for bones mending.
Sure. You can read her. You can believe anything you want, Jerry.
So she was every morning. She's getting up. She's scrambling my eggs. First, she sautéed onions, and then put the eggs in, and then she'd fry up the bacon, and then she'd break it up and put the bacon in the eggs for me, and then put that all together, and then give me like a bagel or an English muffin or something, and serve it to me in bed. It was just, it was one of the most wonderful things about being laid up.
Pam, listen, I don't know how you're going to score back on this, but
morning after morning after morning.
It could be a new car. It could be a swimming pool. It could be anything you want.
Did I mention that she has to wake up every morning and start the car and back it out of the garage?
Don't settle for a chainsaw this time.
Oh, she is so good. Yeah. Anyway, all right, moving on. It's also National Chocolate Macaroon Day. Macaroons are made from shredded coconut, usually sweetened and sometimes toasted. Also flour, sugar, and sweetened condensed milk. Egg whites are included. There you go. It's Egg Day. Once the ingredients are combined, the mixture is dropped by spoonfuls onto baking sheets and baked. But since today is Chocolate Macaroon Day, chocolate is added to the batter to make a sweet sensation even sweeter. So enjoy your chocolate macaroons. I don't know if we've ever made it. We've consumed a lot of them, but I don't know if I've ever done homemade chocolate macaroons. How about you?
I don't think Peggy's ever made those. She may have, but okay. I like coconut. She makes other things with coconut, but I don't know, macaroons, they're kind of chewy, especially when they got some You like the chewy ones?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's my deal.
Yeah, they're good.
Yep. Okay, so this isn't really a food item, but this is one of the most unusual facts I've bumped into. It is that the inventor of Pringles and the Pringles can is buried in one. In 1966, Frederick Bauer developed the ingenious idea for Procter & Gamble to uniformly stack chips inside of a can instead of tossing them into a bag. Bauer was so proud of his invention that he wanted to take it to the grave literally. Wow. He communicated his burial wishes to his family, and when he died at the age of 89, his children stopped at Walgreens on the way to the funeral home to buy his burial Pringles can. They did have one decision to make, though, and that was what flavor. His oldest son, Larry, said, look, we need to use the original. We can only assume he wouldn't have it any other way. So the inventor of Pringles and the Pringles can is in one.
Wow. That is, well, that's actually kind of cool.
Uh-huh. And that guy looks like we're seeing a picture of the inventor. Yeah. He looks like Eli Manning, the ex-quarterback.
There he is right there. It's his great son.
Power. There you go.
Okay.
Pringles.
All right. Well, here's a guy that's going to be buried in a ski boot.
With a general area of high pressure parked over the Pacific Northwest, conditions will remain dry and warm. So today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, sunny skies with daytime highs in the mid to upper 70s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville. Continuing with sunny skies as we move down the Willamette Valley with daytime high temperatures in the mid to upper 70s for Salem, Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene with a north wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. Sunny and breezy across central Oregon today with daytime highs near 76 in Prineville, 74 in Bend and near 73 in Sun River. Over in Boise, Idaho, sunny with a high near 78, a northwest wind gusting up to 23 miles per hour. Along the Oregon coast, sunny and breezy with high temperatures in the low to mid 60s for Coos Bay, Port Orford, and Brookings. In Crescent City, sunny in upper 60s with a northwest wind gusting up to 40 miles per hour. In southern Oregon, sunny with Rogue Valley highs in the low 80s for Grants Pass, 84 in Medford and near 78 in Ashland. In the Klamath Basin, sunny in upper 70s with a northwest wind 5 to 11 miles per hour. Into northern California, sunny with a high in the mid 80s in Wairika. Sunny and hot for Redding with a high near 99 and Chico near 97, but sunny skies and low 90s for Sacramento with a light and variable wind. In the Bay Area, early patchy fog, then sunny in upper 70s for Santa Rosa, becoming sunny near 80 for Napa, sunny and breezy in San Francisco with a high in the upper 60s, and today in San Jose, sunny and low 80s. It's a look at your Tuesday weather on the Dove.
All right, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful shot of the Rogue Valley, east looking west. There it is.
Okay, well, we are officially in the fire season, right?
Right.
Is there anything going on yet?
Well, we had a few
small
ones here and there, but just be vigilant this year.
Please be careful. Yeah, you know that smoky area.
Right outside the door here, two Erickson firefighting airplanes are sitting there. So
and they're just on guard?
They're just on guard.
All right.
So it feels good to have them there.
It really does.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there are no shortage of people, in your life who need encouragement. And here with a great idea behind this is Dr. Anthony George.
We talk about Apostle Peter, we talk about the Apostle Paul, but Barnabas doesn't have any book in the New Testament attributed to his authorship. We don't elevate him very much, but I want to elevate him today because as one of the most encouraging men in the history of the church, he proves to us the difference that one encourager can make in someone's life. If we could call him up right now on the phone, hey, Barney, I don't know what we'd call him. Hey, Barnabas, we're down here at First Baptist Atlanta. We're talking about you up there in heaven. And we just want to thank you for being an encourager. Thank you for putting your arm around those who are the underdog and vouching for them. And thank you for being willing to offer a word of encouragement to new believers and for really defining for all Christians of all times what biblical encouragement looks like. Thank you. I think if he was a Southern Jew, he'd say, oh, shucks. He said, I really didn't do anything special. I never wanted to be written about in the Bible, and I never wanted people to be talking about me. I just wanted God to use me to help somebody along the way. I really think that's probably how he would respond. Not interested in the glory, I just want to encourage. And Barnabas shows us what a surrendered follower of Jesus, who's willing to be used, who's willing to be a vessel, can do if he will just make the commitment, I will encourage.
There you go.
A Southern Jew. Barney.
Barney. What would you call Barnabas?
Barney's the Southern
Oh, my goodness.
You heard it here on the Dove.
Absolutely.
All right, good morning to you. 11 minutes past the hour. Let's take a look at some of the big stories. And one of the big stories out there is the continued interest in the former president's auto pen, which is a device that is used to affix a signature to a document by the president if he's not available, but he has to give the approval. The problem is that was used quite rapidly and often in the latter days of the Biden administration. Ed Martin, Ed's an interesting guy. I've had him on the show quite a few times. He served chairman of his state as I was serving chairman of Oregon. He ended up working with the Phyllis Schlafly organization and advancing all of her concerns, especially in education and the life issue and everything. Just a great guy. He's an attorney. He was the U.S. attorney appointee and nominee for a little bit until the Senate didn't like him because of his stance against January 7th, but he's still inside the DOJ, and he's been assigned to track down the auto pen. And his investigation is focusing on preemptive pardons that President Biden issued to several members of his family and clemency that spared 37 federal inmates from the death penalty and converting sentences to life in prison. And he goes on with all the other people that got preemptive pardons or preemptive immunities. Dr. Fauci, Liz Cheney, Adam Schiff, and the list goes on and on and on. Anyway, here's Ed Martin talking about it.
I certainly think that my job as pardon attorney will be to make clear how the pardons work. And I think that no one, I think, with the standard of sort of reasonableness, thinks that what Joe Biden did at the end of his term was particularly reasonable. Now, I happen to think the pardon power is plenary. If you use the auto pen for a pardon power, I don't think that that's necessarily a problem. But the question is, how did this happen? Just like, by the way, many people said, well, wait, there's 1,500 January 6 pardons. How did that happen? These are big moments, and so they have to be able to withstand scrutiny. And I do think that the Biden pardons need some scrutiny. And they need scrutiny because we want pardons to matter and to be accepted and to be something that's used correctly. So I do think we're going to take a hard look at how they went and what they did. And if they're, I don't know, null and void, I'm not sure that how that operates. But I can tell you I've had in my current position or my position as U.S. Attorney, we've had been taking a look at some of the conduct surrounding the pardons and the Biden White House.
So there you go. The question is, can they be, I say, reversed or disqualified?
Yeah, and he mentioned that, using the auto pen is a legitimate tool. Some presidents use it. In fact, I think most presidents have used it. He said, as long as it's authorized. What's that process? How do you get true presidential authorization of the auto pen?
I don't know. So that has to be looked at. And were others slipped into the process by staff members that the president wasn't aware of?
Right.
It all goes back to the former president's cognitive abilities and consciousness during the time. Did he really know what he was doing?
Yeah.
Was it abused? Anyway, we'll take a look at that. In the meantime, Senator Rand Paul's one of these guys that you kind of go, at times he's brilliant, and sometimes you're going to go, who are you?
Yeah.
But he's basically saying in an interview, an exclusive interview, that he believes that the Democrats are adrift. They're in big trouble. They're a party without an identity right now. He says they're championing all the wrong things. The border is closed. It wasn't talked about. The president just went down there and closed it. That's ring a bell with the people, and yet they're still griping about it. He said they're championing transgenders in girls' sports. That's a losing thing. LGBTQ message is a losing thing. And he goes on and on and on. He said they are adrift. But he also says to the Republicans, you could face major risk and consequences in the upcoming midterm elections if they too, the Republicans, lose their identity. And so that brings up the question, what is a true Republican? Now, the late Dr. I'll think of his name here in just a second. I had him on the air. Anyway, he wrote the book Good News for America, and we talked a lot about this. And he did what they called modeling investigations, and what he mean by it, he would look at various social models throughout the year, throughout the century. And he believed that both major parties would be splitting down the middle. Well, that's exactly what's happening. Okay, the left wants to go further left, and the right wants to go further right. And those who don't want to go further left and further right, they're kind of left in the middle. And it's caused a great divide. So the question will be is, what is a true conservative today? Okay. And I used to say when I especially was chairman, we're platform Republicans. Now, I can't say that anymore because the problem is that the Republicans have softened the platform. And I will say this about President Trump. He's not been faithful on the life issue. He's moved that line, and it shows up in the platform, okay, and that's a problem. So anyway, what Rand Paul is saying is, Republicans, are you going to stay conservative? Now, you got to remember where he's coming from. He's a hawk when it comes to money. So we'll see where this goes. All right, and certainly, last but not least, the big, beautiful bill, you know, got through the House, and it won a huge victory, one vote. It's in the Senate, and they expect it to be adjusted in the Senate. But there are people saying that, hey, wait a minute, this really does a great job for small businesses, and I'm a champion for small business. But anyway, here's a little video that explains what's in the bill and how it will benefit small businesses.
Congress is advancing tax cuts legislation that would give small businesses a big boost. But exactly what pro-small business provisions are included in the bill? Let's break it down. 1. The small business tax deduction is increased from 20% to 23%, saving millions of entrepreneurs money they can reinvest to create economic opportunity. 2. Lower individual tax rates are made permanent, which is great news for 95% of small businesses that file taxes as pass-throughs. 3. 100% immediate expensing for capital equipment is restored, encouraging small businesses to modernize and expand operations to boost productivity. 4. Small businesses that invest in research and development can expense those costs right away, sparking innovation and helping them stay competitive. 5. Federal taxes on tips and overtime pay are eliminated, putting more money in the pockets of service workers and strengthening the growing gig economy. 6. A larger standard deduction will reduce taxable income, helping ordinary small business owners keep more of what they earn. 7. Tax incentives for domestic manufacturing will reward companies that keep jobs and production here in the United States. 8. The tax code is simplified, which will give small businesses more time to serve customers rather than fill out paperwork. Studies show these small business tax cuts will increase economic growth and encourage investment. Dynamic effects that will grow tax revenue just like after the first Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was passed.
Well, let's hope that's true. That's what's in there. I haven't seen, I actually have seen variations of the big, beautiful bill. I haven't seen a full summary of it. There's pros and cons in it from what I understand, but I can't even verify that. But if those 9 points are real, that's really good for small business. I'd like to see where the corporate tax is going to end up. I'd like to see the inheritance tax wiped out. There's a lot of things that need to be adjusted here. And we still haven't seen no tax on Social Security. That hasn't surfaced yet. But no tax on tips and overtime, that's in the bill, and that's a good deal.
So what do you think they're going to do with corporate taxes?
Well, they better lower them if they want to do that. And of course, the Democrats go crazy with that.
Totally. Well, you know, it's interesting, though. I watched a little video yesterday with Dave Ramsey. He says, you can't raise corporate taxes. He says, you can't raise taxes on corporations. You can only do it to consumers because any corporate tax goes right to the consumer. They don't pay it. You do. Right.
And I mean, we unwind that. But yes, it's absolutely true. I think that we are still heavily in debt, and the only way you can get out of debt now is you got to get this economy on steroids.
Oh boy, yeah.
And if you can get small business growing, that's a big deal. Small business is still the #1 employer in the United States.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I'm really a hawk on this, and I don't know what, I haven't read the bill, so I want to be careful here. It could be in there, I just don't see it yet. Is we got to do everything we can to unleash the American farmer.
Absolutely, yes.
You got to turn them loose.
Yes.
Get government out of their life. I mean, food doesn't come from Safeway or Albertsons.
There you go.
Or Food for Less down here.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So much for that. We're having a good time. Hope you're enjoying it. We're going to go look for a macaroon. We'll be right back.
Clean water is essential to your good health. Ultra Pure Purified Water has been delivering purified, healthy drinking water to the Rogue Valley since 1995. Locally owned and family run, Ultra Pure Purified Water uses a multi-stage process ensuring your delivery of water is 99.8% pure, so your family stays hydrated and healthy. Online at ultrapurewaterinc.com or call 541-734-0828. 541-734-0828.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian owned and operated, pet friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site 24/7 in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare where your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living, your home.
Want a great way to impact your day? Get the Dove's The Word for You today, an excellent daily devotional that will leave you inspired, blessed, and closer to the Lord. It's free for you from the Dove TV. Go to thedove.us to get yours.
Good morning. Welcome back. 24 minutes past the hour. This story this morning comes out of Salem, Oregon, our state capital. I was a little reluctant to bring the story only because it's a downer, but I also wanted to use it as a caution of the times in which we live. I don't know what your business or especially your ministry that you're involved in, whether it's your church or a parachurch ministry or a service organization, what you're doing in the way of security today. But it's part of everybody's operation, and you need to take it seriously. This is an example. A series of stabbings outside the shelter in Salem injured 12 people the other day. It happened about 7:15, night before last, at the Salem Union Gospel Mission. Now, here's a ministry that's serving people in need. And this person walked in, stabbed several people inside, and then went out and stabbed several people outside using an 8-inch knife. They've caught him, and he's in custody now. And what's staggering about this is that all of us in ministry are there to help people. And where you want to be with open arms, and we want to be loving and caring, that's what God has called us to do. But at the same time, in today's atmosphere, you're going to have to be vigilant. You have to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. And taking extra security measures runs the risk of being cold, runs the risk of being uncaring. But at the same time, you can't serve the people that you've been called to serve if you're not protected to do that.
Right.
And so I know of churches that have full-blown security operations, and rightfully so. It's the day in which we live.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's a beautiful ministry, street ministry, serving people. The Salem Union Gospel Mission, I know exactly where this is. It's been there for years, doing a great job, and something like this happens. So the only thing I'm saying by bringing the story to this morning, be aware, be smart, be vigilant, be on top of it, be wise about what you're doing, and don't be cavalier. I would say if you are in a public ministry outreach to people, especially people that are in need, take the extra measure and ask yourselves, are we prepared, and do we have a plan if? Do you always have this contingency plan if something happens? What are you going to do? So think about that. All right, let's take a look at Wall Street for this Tuesday morning. And thank you, Preston, over at Smart Lawn. He has the Smart Lawn, which is, artificial lawn, but his wife has the ice cream shop. The Twin Peak ice cream shop in Central Point. And their chocolate mint chip is delicious. Excuse me. The Dow's down 69 points. The Nas is up 75 points, and the S&P is up a whopping 2 points. So a little roller coaster at the ringing of the bell. The gold's hanging in there, 33.66. Silver's at 34, almost 34.5, down a few pennies, but still doing well. Yeah, crude oil's up about 80 cents, $63.54 a barrel. Anyway, if you haven't been to the Twin Peak ice cream shop.
I haven't yet.
I don't do this very often.
Okay.
But gosh, that homemade mint chip ice cream. So much for that.
Yeah, well, kind of got me distracted right now a little bit, but anyway, the cognitive decline of President Biden continues to make news, except in a different way. When it became obvious or apparent, we saw folks on the right who were bringing attention to it, and folks on the left were running cover for the president until he exited. And now there's been a little bit of a turn in that regard, as Dave Rubin played this clip of Bill Maher and Jake Tapper discussing who is behind hiding Joe Biden's actual condition during his presidency.
Here's something totally ridiculous.
How bad is his reputation going to be in the future? It was bad before your book. Now it's worse. Where's he going to land?
I mean, I can't speak to how history will ultimately judge him. Obviously, his presidency had accomplishments and incidents that people criticized too. What my co-author Alex Thompson and I came to discover after the election, when we decided, okay, now we can get Democrats to talk to us who wouldn't talk to us before, because if they said anything, there was this threat of, oh, you're going to help Trump get elected. Suddenly, more than 200 of them were willing to talk to us. And the question we had was, we all saw what we saw on debate night in June 2024. How often did that happen before debate night? And what we found out was quite a bit. It happened quite a bit.
So who, you said blame before, who do we blame? I feel like people are Yokoing the wife. I feel Jill Biden's getting the Yoko treatment. Maybe she deserves it, but Yoko didn't break up the Beatles. And
I think there are any number of people that were part of this decision to hide how bad it was, not only from the media, not only from the public, but also from cabinet officials, from people in the White House, from Democratic lawmakers. I mean, there was a period, 2023, 2024, Democratic lawmakers barely saw the president. And yes, I think it was Jill Biden. I also think it's Hunter Biden. I also think President Biden has some agency here too. We're not saying it was weekend at Bernie's. He was aware what was going on. No, I'm saying he wasn't. Like, he had moments where he was non-functioning, but he understood what was going on. I mean, we saw him earlier today. He can speak and talk. If you hear right now, he could talk for 10, 15 minutes and be fine.
I think a lot of it is that the Democrats they were too romanticized about the fact that he had a lot of tragedy in his life, and he survived a lot of it. So every time something bad would happen, they were like, oh, he's so resilient, when they should have said, this dude is bad luck.
No?
I don't know.
it interesting that Jake Tapper pointed his finger at everybody on the Democrat side except the media?
Well, that is the greatest couple of minutes of hypocrisy I've ever seen.
You got it. Yes.
I mean, that is absolutely crazy. All of a sudden now he is the official and the knower of all that really went on.
They ran cover for the president like nothing you've ever seen. And now he's cashing in on it. He wrote a book.
Why didn't Bill Maher call him out on it?
I don't know. That's a great question.
Because, I mean, that, well, it just shows you why people don't tune into it anymore.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, if Tapper's going to be the official whatever,
right?
Give me a break.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hey, Macrones are us. We'll be right back.
Never give up hope. You're gonna do great things. I already know. God's got his hand on you, so.
Your yard is where life happens, but it can be muddy and hard to maintain. Enjoy a maintenance-free artificial turf lawn all year round with Smart Lawn LLC. No mowing, no fertilizing, no watering. Our synthetic grass is beautiful and resilient. It's certified to be lead-free and there's no need for pesticides. Safe for your children and pets. Smart Lawn LLC has all your artificial turf and putting green areas covered beautifully. 541-941-3538.
Stewardship begins with the knowledge that nothing belongs to us, but everything belongs to the Lord. This helps us to run a business not in the fear of lack, but in the assurance of His care and provision. Such a perspective eliminates the drive to sell and replaces it with a heart that says serve. This begins with serving our clients and coworkers with integrity and genuine care. That's why at Kelly's, it's automotive service with a heart for God, and treating others as we ourselves would want to be treated. Our promise is to never sell our clients anything we don't believe they need. Another is to do all we can to meet other needs, such as shuttle service and loaner cars, or taking the time to really listen, even at times praying with our customers. Sometimes this means sacrifice, going above and beyond, but that's why I work for Kelly's Automotive Service, honoring God while serving people with honesty and integrity.
Romans 1:20 tells us God's power is revealed in creation. Yet 2 Corinthians 4:4 reminds us that Satan has blinded many to the gospel. At the Life Outdoors, we've seen the truth of God, His eternal power and divine nature displayed in every mountain and stream. Follow along and let's wake the wild within. The mountains don't lie. Where there's truth, there's Jesus.
All right, 27 before the hour. Happy Tuesday to you. A lot going on. Let's check in with CBN Newswatch and get caught up on all things outside of our backyard.
This is CBN Newswatch.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Despite the success of the new humanitarian efforts in the Gaza Strip, there are millions of people still are facing hunger. It comes under attack on the ground at the UN and in the media. The battle over food is perhaps the last front line in Israel's war with Hamas. U.S. Ambassador Mike Huckabee blasted the U.S. media, saying in a statement, quote, "Without verification of any source other than Hamas and its collaborators," the New York Times, CNN, the Associated Press reported that a number of people seeking to receive humanitarian food boxes from the Gaza Humanitarian Fund were shot or killed by the Israeli Defense Forces. These reports were false. Huckabee demanded an immediate retraction and appealed to all media to act with professionalism and not blindly follow Hamas's news releases. Meanwhile, at the UN Security Council, Israeli Ambassador Danny Danon accused the UN of mafia-like tactics against the IDF. He says the UN is actively joining Hamas to block that aid by using threats, intimidation, and retaliation against NGOs who choose to participate in the new humanitarian mechanism. Our CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell is with us now from Jerusalem. Chris, is Hamas accusing Israel for propaganda purposes?
George, I think that's exactly what they're doing. And you should know, you've been there in Gaza during one of the wars in years past, and they use the media many times or suppress the media from reporting on things they don't want to hear. But actually, they use the media to report on things that serve their propaganda purposes. And this is a prime example of what happened. It was early Sunday morning when they said that dozens of people, at least 30 people, had been killed, scores wounded, and it was all blaming on the IDF. Later, it came out clearly that the security camera footage of the humanitarian aid center at that time of the alleged shooting, there was nothing going on. And so, however, CNN, ABC, not ABC, but CNN, BBC, and AP ran with the story, the New York Times as well. And that's why Ambassador Huckabee came out with a statement yesterday, really castigating them for what they did. And sort of, it is exactly what it is, a propaganda purposes. Unfortunately, the story goes out before the retractions come and before it's clear of what did not happen. And as somebody said, I think it was Winston Churchill, the truth goes halfway around the world before the lie gets halfway around the world before the truth gets its pants on.
Yeah. Chris, why does Hamas consider these aid stations such a threat? I mean, after all, this is helping their own people.
It is. However, what it does is it goes around Hamas. It avoids this aid going through Hamas. And for months, Hamas has been stealing the aid, hoarding the aid, and actually using the fact that many Gazans may not get as much aid as they need, blaming Israel for them being hungry or even starving. So they also use the aid to fund their war machine. They sell this aid back to their own people at exorbitant prices. So if it goes around them, they lose the control of the population. They start losing some of their funds they're depending on. And so it really is a very serious threat to Hamas. And as it said in the intro, you know, the last front line, perhaps, they're getting really hurt militarily on the ground. But this leverage of the food was one thing they still had remaining over the population. And these is why these humanitarian aid centers are a deep, serious threat to Hamas's rule in the Gaza Strip.
Let's move to Iran. A top diplomat for the Iranian regime saying that this new U.S. proposal to end the regime's decades-old nuclear dispute is a non-starter. How important is it for Israel that Iran not continue to enrich its uranium?
Well, this is the real focus point for Israel, Iran, and the U.S. For Israel, they don't want Iran to continue to enrich uranium because that's going to lead eventually to a nuclear weapon. Iran says it has a national right to enrich uranium. They still say it's for peaceful purposes, but to enrich uranium to 60% and potentially to 90% weapons-grade uranium, there's no peaceful purposes for those. And so this seems to be the game changer, the red lines for President Trump coming out and saying no enrichment. Iran is saying we need to enrich. Israel is actually waiting and watching right now, George, because they would prefer to really just once and for all eliminate Iran's nuclear program with a military strike that's been preparing for many, many years.
Well, I saw the story yesterday where Ambassador Huckabee went after the Washington Post, MSNBC, and CNN for blatantly lying and accused them of being nothing more than advancing Hamas's theme about what's going on with not only aid, but the killing and the hostages.
Yeah.
So he called them out. And, you know, here's a guy that's pretty savvy.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
And so he did a good job. All right. Here's a guy that's savvy.
With a general area of high pressure parked over the Pacific Northwest, conditions will remain dry and warm. So today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, sunny skies with daytime highs in the mid to upper 70s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville. Continuing with sunny skies as we move down the Willamette Valley with daytime high temperatures in the mid to upper 70s for Salem, Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene with a north wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. Sunny and breezy across central Oregon today with daytime highs near 76 in Prineville, 74 in Bend and near 73 in Sun River. Over in Boise, Idaho, sunny with a high near 78, a northwest wind gusting up to 23 miles per hour. Along the Oregon coast, sunny and breezy with high temperatures in the low to mid-60s for Coos Bay, Port Orford, and Brookings. In Crescent City, sunny in upper 60s with the northwest wind gusting up to 40 miles per hour. In southern Oregon, sunny with Rogue Valley highs in the low 80s for Grants Pass, 84 in Medford and near 78 in Ashland. In the Klamath Basin, sunny in upper 70s with a northwest wind 5 to 11 miles per hour. Into northern California, sunny with a high in the mid-80s in Wairika. Sunny and hot for Redding with a high near 99 and Chico near 97, but sunny skies and low 90s for Sacramento with a light and variable wind. In the Bay Area, early patchy fog, then sunny in upper 70s for Santa Rosa, becoming sunny near 80 for Napa, sunny and breezy in San Francisco with a high in the upper 60s, and today in San Jose, sunny and low 80s. It's a look at your Tuesday weather on the Dove.
And there's a look at the Tuesday morning out over the southern Oregon Rogue Valley. Beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful. Okay, when we think of the early advances in bringing electricity to the world, we think of inventors like Edison, Westinghouse, maybe Tesla. But it was on this day in history that a huge advance in electronic technology took place, and it took place between Oregon City and Portland, Oregon.
On June 3rd, 1889, the future of America flickered to life along a 14-mile stretch from Willamette Falls in Oregon City to Portland, Oregon. It was here, amid the midst of the mighty waterfall, that engineers flipped the switch on the nation's first long-distance electric power transmission line. Electricity surged silently through the wooden poles and copper wires, reaching a city where few, if any, homes were wired to receive it. In a world still lit by gas lamps and candlelight, the power was destined not for households, but for streetcars and industry. Yet it was a beginning. What made this moment remarkable was not just the distance, 14 miles was unheard of, but the vision. It proved that energy could be generated far from where it was used, shaping the modern power grid. From the thundering falls to the glowing street lamps of Portland, America's electric age had begun, not in New York or Chicago, but in the Pacific Northwest.
How about that?
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah, and of course, it was that little that tussle between, like the Tesla folks and the Edison folks. The Tesla folks were AC, alternating current oriented, and Edison was camping on DC current. But the big difference was that AC can be sent a much greater distance than DC. So instead of having all these substations all over the place to give us DC current, you can have one substation and it can go a long ways, like from Oregon City to Portland.
Wow.
There you go.
Is that where the AC/DC band got their thing?
I'm not even going to comment on that one.
You could have had E.T.
E.T.
Edison and Tesla.
E.T. phone home.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. So we love it when brethren gather together, and here's a reporting that over this past holiday season, over 100 pastors representing 16 denominations gathered together for Shine Your Light evangelistic event in London.
Over 100 Christian leaders gathered at Portcullis House in Westminster in London recently for a parliamentary reception to celebrate Shine Your Light, a nationwide evangelistic movement taking the gospel onto the streets and marketplaces across the UK each Christmas and Pentecost. The event was hosted by Member of Parliament Jim Shannon.
So the whole life of Jesus is about shining the light. That's what we're trying to do, shine the light on the message of the Lord Jesus. Come into this world at Christmas to be the Saviour for us. That's a wonderful story.
Shine Your Light is organised by the National Day of Prayer and Worship, and last year's Christmas campaign reached more than 1 million people. Many at the reception testified to the impact this initiative is having across the UK, not just on the streets but in different spheres of society. Deborah Akinlawan is with the Christian Police Association.
We started off being involved with Shine Your Light last year, and that was our first time as a Christian Police Association, with carol services all across the UK in different police stations, in different police headquarters, and it's been amazing to see how the light of Jesus Christ has been shone throughout police stations and on the streets.
And Warren Evans shared how they were able to share the real meaning of Christmas through their ministry, Sports Chaplaincy UK.
Christmas, it gives us that unique opportunity to proclaim the good news of Jesus, that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. We're encouraging our chaplains to join in and do that in sports clubs, in their stadiums, in wherever they gather, wherever their athletes are, football players, rugby players, to get involved and to be hands and feet of Jesus, shining their light this Christmas.
And plans for Shine Your Light 2025 were announced at the event, starting with a 72-hour prayer focus over Pentecost weekend in June, and a weekend of Christmas evangelistic events in December. Peter Wooding reporting for the Global News Alliance in London, England.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Good stuff all the way around. All right, we'll take a quick Macron break.
One step away from coming home, coming home. One step from arms wide open.
Live the adventure with Hellgate Jetboat Excursions. Discover your wild side in the heart of the Pacific Northwest with Hellgate's high-speed spins, stunning rogue river scenery, and incredible wildlife sightings. It's an experience like no other. Plus, you can enjoy brunch or dinner on the open-air deck of the exclusive Hellgate River Lodge, a place where families connect, friends unite, and the river brings it all to life. Visit Hellgate.com to book your adventure. Hellgate Jetboat Excursions, where adventure runs wild.
The Lennox iComfort S30 thermostat can sense changes in your environment. It even knows when you come and go. So now your home's most important system is also the smartest.
Metal Masters can give you the smartest home comfort system available. It knows when you're away and adjusts when allergens and humidity get uncomfortable. Trust Metal Masters to provide perfect air for your family.
Lennox. Air is life. Make it perfect.
Grange Co-op, where big ideas grow.
How can Christian parents train their kids to know and follow God's design for sexuality in a culture that increasingly rejects it?
Join us as we uncover the damaging misinformation being fed to your children on sexuality and gender identity, and learn effective strategies for grounding them in biblical truth with confidence and grace.
Join me for the John Ankerberg Show weekdays at 4 o'clock right here on the Dove TV. It'll be encouraging and informative.
All right, good morning to you. It's about 12 minutes before the hour. The president, as you know, is holding, I think, with both hands, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu back.
Yeah.
Because he's looking for a nuclear deal with Iran. Well, we've known in the past that they don't work. But what's this really all about?
Yeah.
Heritage Foundation Vice President of National Security Victoria Coates talks about this and the president's efforts to have a nuclear deal with Iran. Here's what she has to say.
So last week had that Austrian intel report about the progress they're making with their nuclear program. And so the clock is ticking here. And I think the president has been right to pursue diplomacy, to see what might be possible with the Iranian regime. He did that in the first term as well. He took over a year to examine the situation. Unfortunately, I don't think we have that much time this go around because there was so much progress made on their nuclear file during the Biden administration. So, the president's going to have to make a decision. Does he feel that there's enough in this deal to dismantle their ability to enrich to this level, to verify that they're no longer pursuing a nuclear weapon, or does he need to take another kind of action? So, that's the big decision in front of him. I absolutely trust him to prevent the Iranians from getting a nuclear weapon. That is a direct threat to the United States, not just to our regional allies, but to us. That's why he's focusing on the Golden Dome, but that's not here yet.
Yeah.
So we need to stop them from getting this nuclear weapon.
Okay, so he's trying this diplomatic way. He did mention in a White House briefing the other day that dismantling would have to be verified. In fact, he went on to say, if I heard him correctly, that the United States would be involved in the dismantling and the verification. The question is, will Iran let that happen?
That is a huge question, yeah.
And how does Iran now buy more time?
Yeah.
Because they're out of time.
Yeah, and they want to delay, right.
So the president is using the imminent threat of Israel as a leverage to say to Iran, let us get in there and dismantle this and take this down and verify it, or these other guys are going to come in and do the job.
Yeah.
That's kind of where they are.
Yeah, and I have a question for you on this. We've seen this administration in its first version, Trump 1.0, and how he dealt with Iran before. And through sanctions and such, pretty much brought them to their knees. They were broke when he left office.
Right.
Okay, what was the fundamental difference in viewing this in the eyes of the Biden administration compared to the Trump administration? And they let them go again. What am I missing in what their idea or their philosophy was on Iran?
Well, I don't know if I have the right answer, but I think what you got was Biden came back and repeated what President Obama did.
Exactly. Yes.
And they think by appeasement, you could have peace by appeasement.
Well, let's put a bunch of money on pallets and ship it to them.
Yeah. And obviously that doesn't work. I think there's also some philosophical leanings from the previous administration, Obama, that was just repeated by Biden, but the Biden administration that probably didn't carry with it the philosophical or even the religious connection from Obama, where he bowed to the king.
Yes.
Okay, so
yes.
I think what you have here is that going on. But the bottom line is, Iran consistently says that Israel's a small state and the United States is a big state. Their only purpose of developing a nuclear weapon is to kill people.
Yeah.
The president understands that. Netanyahu understands that. The question is, if they don't dismantle and verify the dismantling and let us be a part of the dismantling, then the other happens. Now, sanctions, yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, do we put sanctions on Russia and China for buying oil from them?
Oh, wow. This
is a three-legged stool.
Yeah.
It's really complicated stuff. Who's the retired general on Fox that's think of as Jack.
Oh, I know who you're talking about, too.
He's really good, and I'd like to talk to him, but he's with Fox. He needs to come to the Dove. But his analysis really are they're easy to understand and they're verifiable. Anyway, that's what it is. Joe Block will be with me in a few minutes. We'll talk about what is the state of the economy and the up and down, the in and out of tariffs. Are they working? What happens? And then Lee Miller. I've been looking forward to Lee Miller. Who's Lee Miller?
Yeah.
Lee Miller is CEO and the president of MSG Resources. His company does most of the broadcast television work behind the scenes, like the U.S. Open, the Republican National Convention. His company goes in and sets up all the cameras, sets up all the screens, does all that. Well, Lee sits on 3 committees with me. He's a great guy, and he's a Christian, and he wrote a book, Entrepreneurship, God's Way. We're going to talk to him about that, because he wasn't always at this level in his life.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It shows you that if you wait on God, good things can happen. So we'll talk to him coming up in a little bit.
Well, attention, all new moms and dads. A new study reveals a very positive ingredient in raising your babies.
In a quiet corner of a nursery, a lullaby drifts through the air, and science is now singing its praises. A new study published in the Journal of Child Development reveals that when parents sing more often to their babies, something remarkable happens. Conducted by an international team of researchers from New Zealand, Canada, the United States, and the Netherlands, the study explored a music enrichment program that encouraged caregivers to sing regularly. The result? Happier babies and healthier parents. The findings show that this simple act not only uplifts a child's mood, but also reduces stress and promotes emotional well-being in moms and dads. In a world filled with screens and schedules, the humble lullaby emerges as a powerful tool for connection, comfort, and care. Sometimes the most profound science begins with a simple song.
And sometimes studies come out that just confirm what a lot of grandmas and grandpas already know. And a lot of them sang to their babies.
Yeah. So you sang, Pam didn't.
Well, you know, she probably did at times. You know, Pam is a little bit, shall we say?
Don't go there.
She's not confident in her singing voice.
That's a nice way of saying it.
Isn't that?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe somebody told her that. I don't know.
That's okay, Pam. I'm with you. I'm not that way.
But you know what? Especially when we sing together in church, we all sing better.
There we go.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, did you ever play classical music for your babies when they were sleeping?
You know, I don't remember doing that, and I didn't play any AC/DC, I swear.
Okay. But you know, there were studies that you play classical music.
Right. And
apparently it smoothed them out.
Now, are we confusing studies? Isn't classical music also good for your plants?
It is. Okay. Well, your kids grow, your plants grow, your kids grow up, become artists.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Okay. Take with you Psalm 133, verse 1. This is really good. How good and pleasant it is when God's people live together in unity. Can you say amen to that?
Amen to that.
All right, stick around. Beautiful day in the neighborhood. Have some macarons today.
Lift up your voice and lay your burden.
Black Flag Armory offers top brand affordable rifles, shotguns, handguns, and gear. We also offer an array of classes emphasizing safety, self-defense, and accuracy. We strive to provide the absolute best possible experience when buying a firearm. Family friendly for every skill level, Black Flag Armory in Medford and Grants Pass. Online at blackflagarms.com or 541-499-0779. 541-499-0779.
With the words, "Behold, a sower went out to sow," Jesus begins the legendary Matthew 13 parable of the sower about God's word and draws attention to the need for good soil in order to bear fruit. This question of good soil motivates and challenges every Christian parent. Can good soil be nurtured in the lives of our children? A similar question was asked by the ancient Greeks concerning virtue. Drawing upon classical traditions like the trivium and the liberal arts, classical Christian schools are coming alongside Christian parents to do just that, nurture good soil and virtue. Now in our 8th year serving Jackson County, Knox Academy, the Rogue Valley Zone K-12 classical Christian school, is relocating to downtown Medford in order to better assist parents as they educate their children. We are currently enrolling students for the 25-26 school year. Visit us at knoxmedford.com for more information. Invest in a future with a strong connection to the past for good soil, deep roots, and fruit at knoxmedford.com.
The Dove is touching lives across our network and around the world.
Thanks for all you do. You are one of the only channels I watch. Love your programs.
Thank you, Dove. Great programs. The Dove is doing the Lord's work. Jesus is the light of the world. God bless you all and the Dove.
Let us know if the Dove has touched your life. The Dove TV, encouraging and informative. Support the Dove at thedove.us.
The Girls Gone Bible World Tour. What is your prayer and what has been like the hope for these live events?
It's almost like get ready for battlefield because we go into some dark places.
Angela and Arlene from Girls Gone Bible talk about their podcast, live tour, and new book.
I know you guys have faced a lot of criticism. How have you guys been able to handle that?
Watch the 700 Club Wednesday morning at 11 on the Dove TV. Experience evangelism like never before. Way of the Master, an award-winning reality TV show tackling hard questions and bold street witnessing that will leave you inspired. Watch Thursdays and Fridays on the Dove TV. Important topics, in-depth conversation. Focus Today, weekdays only on the Dove TV, encouraging and informative.
to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and always a great time we have when we have a chance to sit down with Joel Block and get his interpretation. He is a seasoned venture capitalist. He's a financial strategist and advisor. And he's a conference speaker, all because he got his start and recognition by being on the Dove. He does have a website called joelblock.com. You can go there, very resourceful. He has a lot of information there that you can download. He makes available to you. That's at joelblock.com. Brother Joel, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, Perry. How are you?
Good to see you. Oh, man, I don't know how you keep up with all this stuff. How would you describe today the overall state of the U.S. economy?
I am so bullish, Perry. I'm just so bullish on what's going on. I think that we're just going in the right direction. I think the president has this tariff thing under control in spite of all the problems that people are trying to create around it. This economy is going to be in better shape in 6 months than we've seen in a long time. Have you had a chance to look at the big, beautiful bill? I have not really studied the big, beautiful bill. No, here's the thing. It's gone through the House. It's got a lot of work to do through the Senate. To me, it's sort of a waste of time until they make all these edits. So there's going to be a lot of changes. So any work we do now would be time wasted.
What's your take on inflation?
Well, it's down a little bit. It's getting under control. I mean, there's specific sectors that are coming under control. I just think all the way around that this administration is just putting pressure on companies that are taking advantage on situations that are not working well. I'd like to see the Fed be a little more cooperative, because if they brought interest rates down a little bit, I think things would go even in a better direction. But that's not too far off.
Why don't they do that? I mean, is it just they don't like each other?
I'm not quite sure, what the politics are behind the scenes. But I can tell you this, the Fed has its own opinion. In 23, the Fed really did a poor job of managing those interest rates. Remember they said that this inflation thing is just transitory, it's just temporary, it's not really going to make a big deal. I think they got a lot of mud on their face, and they really need to be very careful to make sure that they don't make the same mistake again. In other words, that this dip in inflation is just they want to make sure it's permanent, not temporary. I think they really want to avoid making the same mistake they made before. So they're probably inserting a little extra caution into the process.
All right, a couple big things here I want to talk about, because I only have here for one segment today. The first one is the debt. It's serious. And when are we going to see it come down? And two, it looks like the value of the dollar is cooling a little bit. What's the Joel Block take?
Well, let's talk about the debt. To me, I really understand the debt a little better than the dollar part. But the debt is catastrophic. The markets have really not addressed it, and because interest rates are so much higher now than they were a year ago, or a year and a half ago, the cost of carrying that debt is really serious. I mean, in the past, when the interest rate was extremely low, the cost of carrying the debt was extremely low. But now it's very material. Like the cost of carrying this debt, every time we have to borrow money, we have to borrow it from some other country or organization somewhere in the world, and we're paying a very high price, a much higher interest rate than we were paying a couple of years ago. And so now the accumulated debt is costing us $1 trillion a year to carry. The interest cost is more than the entire military of the United States government. So it's real serious. And Wall Street's starting to notice it. We took a hit to our credit rating as a country recently, and it's serious. So my sense is that although they keep saying that all this stuff in this big beautiful bill is going to raise the cost of the debt, I think this administration is keenly aware of what's happening, and there are lots of different ways that they're going to bring this cost down.
Okay, I guess one of the things that makes my brain on tilt, if the debt is so catastrophic and dangerous, why isn't it showing up in the current economics? I mean, we have to address this.
Well, we do have to address it. When you talk about it's not showing up, are you saying that the markets aren't paying attention to it?
Well, can't we trust the numbers? I mean, the market's going up and down. But at what point does the debt show up on the balance sheet?
Well, it's clearly there, and it's on everybody's radar screen. The market is not reacting. It's not. Let's put it like this: the market's not overreacting to the debt problem, but the market is keenly aware of this problem. And there hasn't been a payment that's been missed. We still continue to do okay. But what's surprising to me is that our elected senators and representatives are really, in general, as a group, not focused enough on this problem. They really, listen, all of us need to pull in the belt. Everybody's going to have to sacrifice a little. We got to get this under control. I think the Trump administration is more focused on making the economy swell and get bigger and better, which means that more taxes will come in, which means that they want to pay down the debt by making the economy better. Mm-hmm. But you kind of have to work on both. You have to sort of work on having the economy go get bigger and stronger, and at the same time have those expenses come down.
So is there another fundamental problem, Joel, and you just kind of touched on it? Does the average lawmaker understand that the U.S. government is a business going broke? It's not a cookie jar. And the way you salvage a business going broke is you cut expenses.
Yeah. Well, this whole Doge thing was kind of run the way a turnaround runs. Turnaround organizations, if you hire a turnaround consultant, they break everything. I mean, they break everything and they rebuild it back together. That's what Doge did. A lot of people didn't understand that that was done very much deliberately. They thought it was just chaos and it was being done without a plan. That's the way that the turnaround business works. Is you just start breaking things and then you put them back together better than before. I don't think that most of the lawmakers in the country have this high enough as a priority because their term's going to be over. They've kind of just, a lot of these people for the last 30 years have kicked the can down the road, and this administration is done kicking things down the road. I mean, how about just the termination of the penny? They've been talking about this for 30 years, and this administration just said enough's enough, signed the paperwork, and now the penny's gone. It's done. And that's really what they've done with a lot of different initiatives. They've just taken a lot of things that have been kicked down the road for the last 20, 30, even 40 years, and they've just shut them off. Okay. And I think that they're really trying to bring that level of attention to the deficit.
A couple of other things. What's your 30,000-foot view of the housing market, and what are we going to do to protect? I'm not talking big ag. I'm talking the American farmer.
Well, housing, we still have an imbalance of supply and demand. Apparently, people who have delayed selling their homes for the last few years have finally got to the point where they can't wait any longer. They don't want to surrender the good interest rate that they have because it is what it is. But if you got to move, at some point you got to move. And so apparently quite a few homes have come on the market recently. And so it's become a buyer's market. It had been a seller's market because it was very low inventory, but apparently that's changing right now. And people are starting to move in spite of the fact that they're going to have to move into a higher interest rate mortgage when they make the plan on the other side. But that's just, what happens. As far as ag goes, we need to protect our family farmers. I mean, we can't just be a country that has large institutional farmers that are taking care of this big ag. We have to really protect our small guys, and we have to protect our manufacturers too. And by the way, Perry, one of the things I think that's going to be enormous is that the president keeps talking about this $7 or $8 trillion of corporate investments that's going to come into this country. Those are numbers we've never seen before. And when those kind of dollars start coming in, the real estate business, the manufacturing business, the development business, the construction business, all these different hardcore industries, by the way, where people don't lose their jobs because of artificial intelligence. These are high-skilled workers that are going to be swinging hammers and laying concrete and painting buildings and putting in tile. We're going to see more of these people get high-quality, high-paying jobs than we've seen in years and years and years. And it's going to be just spectacular. And then the president wants to move money into trade schools so we can educate more young people and help bring them into the trades, because this country needs people who can actually do things that have high skills, and those people get paid a lot of dough for bringing those skills to the table. So that's why I'm bullish on so many fronts.
Where do you think the corporate tax is going to end up?
Listen, I'm not really sure. It probably will end up somewhere about where it is, maybe a little bit lower than where it is now, just because they want to stimulate activity. You got to remember that corporations, although they pay tax, pass everything along to consumers. So higher corporate taxes are inflationary. And that's, so it'd be in their interest to bring those taxes down a little bit. But who knows where it's going to end up.
The other one is, like you, I haven't seen a detailed summary of the big, beautiful bill. I've picked up bits and pieces, and I think it is going to be very beneficial to small business. There's a lot of things in there that are encouraging for small business. But the one thing I haven't seen in there, it could be I just haven't seen it, is if we want to protect the next generation of small business, we got to get rid of the inheritance tax or at least lower it. Do you see that?
Yeah, you know what? What is it? It's $13 million a person or something. So it's already pretty good. I mean, it's better than it was many years ago. Over that amount, you got to understand that inheritance tax, really, it's a little different than what people think. They call it a death tax, but really what it is, it's a wealth accumulation tax. And the founding fathers and people who set up these taxes, 100 and more years ago, they really understood that if Warren Buffett dies, and he gives, $100 billion to his family, and that 100 turns into 200 billion, and then it turns into 400 billion. Next thing you know, you've got people that are bigger than the government, and that's the reason that we even have these taxes to begin with. Is it prevents people from becoming too rich, and they never even anticipated they would become as rich as they are now. But that's really the reason, and so they've really kind of created a very good threshold. Say $26 million for a couple. I think that's pretty close to what it is. That's a pretty decent amount of money to escape all those taxes. And then you get that step up in basis, which means that there's no estate tax at all. That's enough for, 99% of the families in the United States to be pretty good.
Yeah, I'd like to see it more for a lot of reasons, but primarily so that the American farm get passed to the next generation.
Well, the farm is a little different because that is an expensive asset and the thing is that the way that people deal with those taxes is they have to buy life insurance, and that's where the cash comes from to pay the taxes. So it's a complicated financial planning formula that some of these organizations use, but it wouldn't be a bad idea for them to do a carve out. Maybe not raise the floor for everybody. 26 million is pretty good for most everybody, but there probably are a couple of industries like farmers that probably need it to be a higher number because they have so much land, so much equipment, and the transfer of those assets probably would be very painful, and they probably can't afford to carry all the life insurance they need to cover that in the event of that. So a carve out would probably be relevant for that industry.
Are you still bullish on Bitcoins?
I still am. I don't pay as much attention to it as I did before, but it's become a normal thing. I mean, it's just become a thing that's pretty normal, and I think that it's here to stay.
Well, I'm not a believer, but that doesn't make me a bad person. I'm just not a believer.
Yeah. Listen, you'll come around. You'll come around.
I just don't see it. I don't understand. So the last thing is energy. It is coming down, but I have to tell you, we out here on the West Coast, we haven't seen it, and it's kind of got me puzzled. The cost of goods getting to market here is still high because our energy prices are high. What do you think's going on here?
Well, I think partly there's a tax issue. That the taxes on those energy products are incredibly high. It probably does cost a little more to get it to the West Coast. And maybe the worst thing is that they know that people on the West Coast are just used to paying. And they have more dough than people in other parts of the country. And so they can charge more, and they do charge more. And that's probably a combination of all those different things. So I will say that nuclear is front and center. Facebook made a big deal with a big nuclear provider in Illinois, and that's a big thing. So, everybody remembers what happened 50 years ago, 3 Mile Island, Chernobyl, and some of these other terrible situations. But, 50 years is a long time for scientists and engineers to make this industry better. And we need better ways to produce inexpensive energy. And it sounds like nuclear is really going to be the ticket. And this president is favorable toward nuclear. And the big tech companies, they need more power. And they're willing to invest in making those resources better, more reliable, and more abundant.
Hey, Joel, good to see you, buddy. You're always smiling and on top of it. Let me say to our viewers and listeners, check out joelblock.com. That's his website. And there's a lot there. And he has some great information available to you, joelblock.com. Thanks, buddy. Good to see you.
Harry, always good to see you, too.
All right, take care, pal.
Since 1987, Four Seasons Nursery has been the gold standard in the green industry here in Southern Oregon. Tim Elbert and his friendly staff continue to offer the best plants and most accurate knowledge to create your dream landscape. At Four Seasons Nursery on Crater Lake Avenue, you can let your imagination run wild with a huge selection of all things plant and gardening for both inside and outside beautification. Whether it's a flower for your window seal, one of our beautifully renowned signature hanging baskets, or a complete landscape design for your entire property, Four Seasons Nursery can help you every step of the way with design services, workshops, and more. Let your imagination run wild as you immerse yourself in their nursery filled with beauty that knows no bounds. Four Seasons Nursery, 5736 Crater Lake Avenue, 5736 Crater Lake Avenue, 1/2 mile north of Vilas Road, 541-779-5603, 541-779-5603.
Weekday mornings on the Dove, it's one of the longest running shows in broadcast history. The 700 Club. Informative with the day's top events. Encouraging with uplifting stories of faith. The 700 Club. Weekdays on the Dove TV. Tackling the tough issues facing America and our nation's freedom. That's Sekelo on the Dove TV.
DAs around the country finding who they want to prosecute.
A bold half hour hosted by ACLJ's Jordan and Logan Sekelo, taking you inside the battle of constitutional and political freedom, discussing issues that matter to you and your family.
No one that should or want to run for president will end up running for president.
Be in the know with Sekelo on the Dove TV.
Okay, welcome back. It's been far too long, but always a joy and an honor when we get time to sit down with Judge Phil Jen. He is the president of the Southern Evangelical Seminary, and you can go to ses.edu is their website. Outstanding seminary, of which most can be done online or in real time or online. Check it out, ses.edu, and check out their courses there. Judge, good to see you again, friend. Are you still living in boxes?
No, we're pretty much fully integrated now. In fact, I'm sitting in our new studio here, which we're very thankful to have, Perry.
Congratulations. Quite the move, isn't it?
It has been a real pull for us, but we don't have all the pictures on the walls yet, but we're getting there.
Okay. Well, that's all right. Good to see you, friend. Thanks for your time.
Good to see you.
You got a lot going on. Let me ask you, just jumping right into it. Do we have some real concern between the separation of powers, especially between the branches of government?
Perry, I've got some real concerns about the condition that our nation is in, period. But we have a constitutional crisis brewing in our nation, and it involves the checks and balances between the three branches of government.
Okay. One of the ones that's so interesting to me is these district judges, as you well know, that seem to be poking their nose into presidential powers. Now, let me see if I got this right. If it's just a case dealing with the law, it could be appealed all the way to the Supreme Court. But if it's the jurisdiction of the court, that could be redefined by Congress?
That's correct. And those things are what's happening is, as my background as a trial judge in North Carolina, certainly there is some difference between the federal rules of civil procedure and the various state rules of civil procedure, but they're basically the same. There may be a few little quirks here or there, but as a sitting trial judge, I had jurisdiction over the case that was in front of me at the time, so that I could potentially enjoin one of the parties from doing something or cause them to do something in the case that was there. What's happened in a lot of our district court situations is what we call universal injunctions, which simply says that a federal district court judge in some cases has taken on the ability in his or her own mind to enjoin the entire nation based simply on a case that's in front of them. And so what you find yourself involved with is Mr. Trump or whoever is the executive. It doesn't have to be Mr. Trump, it could be Mr. Biden or whoever. Now probably has to get the permission from over 600 federal district court judges before they can change policy, which is not what was the intent of our original Constitution.
Okay, so was this just kind of an oversight in creating these district courts? I mean, was it assumed that they would just handle the case in front of them and not jump over into
not an oversight, it's an overstepping.
What's that?
Barry. It's not an oversight, it's an overstepping.
Okay.
And there are some cases now that are going up to the Supreme Court, which I think and believe the Supreme Court will terminate some of that stuff. But who knows? I mean, you've got such a split in the way folks are looking at things now. In terms of the left versus the right, there's no common ground as there once was 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. And without some form of belief in absolute truth or the God line of morality, as I sometimes refer to it, then we've got no basis of law in our nation any longer. And you've got 9 people in the Supreme Court who are going to decide what our morality is and what our law is. And that's a little frightening.
Okay, so is the constitutional crisis between the judicial and the executive or all branches of government?
It's all branches of the government, Perry. It goes back and forth, but right now Congress is really hamstrung. They've hamstrung themselves. They can't make a decision. And so they have put a checks and balance on themselves and have become very ineffectual in terms of getting anything through on either side. There's if you get something through the House now, you can't get it through the Senate because of the rules in the Senate that sometimes you have to have a supermajority to get something done. And certainly the Republicans nor the Democrats have that supermajority. So there's some checks and balances there. In fact, you can't even get something through the House because of the infighting in the Republican Party sometimes. So the House of Representatives and the Senate have checked their own selves because they're unable to operate effectively.
The president is using executive orders at a level that we've never seen before. I guess that's within his jurisdiction. However, seems to be a lot. And I realize they only last for 4 years. How much of this is going to be codified in Congress is yet to be seen. But are you concerned about his overusages of executive orders?
In one sense, I would say no, because I kind of like what his executive orders contain at this point in time. However, I will say to you that whatever power is given to Mr. Trump now will also be given to whatever president happens to be in power in 3.5 years. Mm-hmm. And I may not like it at that point in time. So the whole point being is that you have to be careful and not create an overly strong presidency. That was one of the things that the constitutional writers and our forebears wanted to make sure of, that we didn't become a kingdom. And I would say to you that executive orders are not the best way to govern. The best way to govern would be how it's constitutionally set out. for us in America, but those principles are falling apart because the nation is falling apart.
We don't seem to be upholding laws that are already on the books, and so that brings into question precedence of law. If something happens that is bad, that it's against the law, but it's not corrected, it sets a precedence.
Yep.
And that
as Roe v. Wade did.
Pardon me?
As Roe v. Wade did.
Okay, so there we are. So it's possible that these executive orders, long-term, could set a precedence.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, the Supreme Court is going to be forced to rule on the effectiveness of some of these executive orders. So we don't know what the outcome of that is going to be ultimately. And court watchers will need to be aware of that. And I think common ordinary people need to be aware of that, because the benefit of executive orders is if we get in a place where Congress is ineffectual, and they can't do what they need to do, then you're forced, Mr. Trump is forced to, or whoever's in power is forced to, in order to get anything done, is forced to resort to these executive orders. But it is a precipitous slide if you're not careful.
Yeah. Okay, let me swing over to your heart for a moment, and that is the spiritual condition of our nation. And what's caught my eye lately is, and I want to say this with a broken heart, there's a lot of Christian leaders falling these days. I don't think you can pick up the newspaper or read the trades, or you can certainly look through social media, and there's actually organizations out there now that track this stuff. Judge, what's your take on this?
Well, the first thing I would say to you is that when I see something like this, I have to remember that I'm human and that same thing could happen to me. Mm-hmm. And so it requires a vigilance on our part to stay close enough to the Lord to insulate ourselves in some way from that, and to put checks and balances in our own life to prevent. I say the time to decide whether or not a man is going to commit adultery is not in a motel room with the lights turned down low and a nice looking woman with very few clothes on. The decision's already been made when you get to that point. Mm-hmm. And so that's one thing, but I think there are other things that are very tempting to Christian leaders. Power's one of them, money's another one. And the only way that Christian leaders can stay true to what the Lord's called them to do is to stay close in hand with His Scripture, with His Word, and to apply our conduct to that. In addition to that, I think we have to surround ourselves with people who hold us accountable and to put protections in place. Billy Graham was wonderful about that. I've spent some time with this organization, and just, they would send a team into Billy Graham's room before they would let him go in, just to make sure there wasn't anything in there that was would be tempting to him, or may even be something that somebody had planted to cast aspersions on him. I mean, they were that careful about it. And so I think that's the kind of thing that we need to be doing as Christian leaders, is protecting and insulating ourselves from those temptations.
There's another part of this argument that's just mind-tilting on me, is that when they finally get caught and exposed, you see something that there's been living in a pattern for a long time. Mm-hmm. And you kind of wonder yourself, at what point did they get disconnected from the Word of God, or were they never really taught properly the Word of God?
And in some cases, the question is, did they ever come to faith, even? And it gets to be a very, very fine line and a scary line, Perry. But again, we put those markers in our lives, or we should be putting those markers in our lives, that prevents us from getting on that slippery slope and sliding into the snares that our own flesh and Satan himself will lay for us. My own actions are the things that normally get me in trouble. I don't need the devil to help me do that. But again, putting people in place that can insulate us from from those temptations and can look at us and, as Barney Fife used to say on the Andy Griffith Show, nip it in the bud before it becomes a major issue.
Give us an update of the seminary, please.
Perry, we're doing great. In fact, our student body has grown by over 31% in the last 2 years, and I say that happily, but also sadly, because we see so many of our brothers and sisters who are in this field slipping away, and some even going under, as Trinity did, and others. 3 reasons for that. Number one, we're going to stay inerrant, stay with the inerrant and infallible Word of God. We're not going to stray from our heritage. Dr. Geisler was on the helped write the Chicago Statement on inerrancy. We're there with that statement. We're going to stay there with that statement. We're innovative. We're doing some things that I think will be very helpful. Our professors are doing podcasts to bring theology and practical outcomes to the general population for free. You can get that on our YouTube channel and other places. We're starting a disciple making program where you can actually become certified as a disciple maker. That's nothing like it out there, and I'm very proud of it. And the third thing that we're trying to do is we're trying to be impactful to our culture. We're speaking out about issues, just as I have been with you today, of those things that really affect our life, that can either inhibit or promote the spread of the gospel message. And so if there's anything we can do to keep America free and to keep the gospel coming out and going forward into our culture, we're going to be about that business at SES.
All right, ses.edu. Check it out. There's the picture of the landing page. A lot of this, as the judge says, can be done online or in real time. And the quality of this is top notch. ses.edu. Judge, good to see you. Good to see a smile on your face.
Wish we had more time, and look forward to the next time.
We will, and congratulations again. I've been following your comments along the way. You guys that's a big deal. I mean, that's not easy to do. So congratulations to you.
Well, we're very pleased. We've got a facility now that we can take SES to the masses instead of asking the masses to come to us. So we're thrilled to death and look forward to it.
All right. God bless you, friend. Good to see you.
God bless you guys. Take care.
Okay.
The right cleaning company matters. Choose Dust Plus Cleaning and Carpet Care, a family-owned company proudly serving Grants Pass and nearby communities for over 25 years. We're passionate about delivering the best, whether it's carpets, using purified water for no window spots, or carefully washing solar panels. We're committed to superb customer service from start to finish. Radiant spaces from local professionals. Request a free quote today.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian-owned and operated, pet-friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site 24/7 in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare where your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living, your home.
Washington Watch with Tony Perkins is your watchful eye on the nation's capital. Every weeknight, covering current events, issues of faith, family, and freedom from a conservative Christian perspective.
Who is really upholding the law? And
Tony is the president of the Family Research Council and your leading source for what's really happening in our nation's capital.
That's just the tip of the iceberg.
Don't miss Washington Watch, weeknights at 6 on the Dove TV.
Okay, welcome back. And I have been looking forward to our next guest for quite some time. I had the honor of knowing him for quite a few years and serving with him in various capacities. And I'm just really delighted to have with us today Lee Miller. Lee is the CEO and the president of MSG Resources. He's a respected broadcast media executive in technology. He's a technology consultant, a business leader. With extensive career spanning television, communication, energy, and public relations, and the author of a fascinating book, and I think very encouraging. It's been very encouraging to me personally. It's called Entrepreneurship God's Way, Building Faith-Driven Success in Business. And there's a picture of the cover of Lee's book on the screen there. You can order it online and check it out. I think you'll find it to be pretty inspiring. Lee, good to see you, buddy. It's been too long. How are you?
Hey, good to see you. Man, I'd really like to meet that guy you were talking about. Wow.
Oh, I know him. He's a cool guy, but he never buys me lunch.
Oh, well, come on now. I guess I'll have to come out and see you.
Good to see you. Are you in Texas? Is that where we're bringing you in from?
I am in Texas today. That's as sometimes somewhat usual. I think I was 220 nights on the road last year.
Yeah, you're pretty busy. So tell people what MSG does.
MSG Resources is just kind of the overarching company for a lot of my projects. And we have a media and PR company. You were talking about our broadcast consulting side with Broadcom. And we do a lot of crazy things in making sure that major event broadcasts take place. One of those things is radio frequency management. But we do a number of things. We have a publication. I have a legal company that does, the court reporters that do the stenography, courtroom support, that sort of thing. So MSG Resources is just kind of the overarching place to put things. And it is now where the book lives. And really, that's a whole nother story. And I guess that's what we're going to talk a little bit about.
Yeah, your story is amazing. And I recommend everybody getting this book. But you weren't always MSG. You had some humble beginnings. But what inspired you to sit down and finally write about it?
Well, actually, I was teaching a class on branding, and one of the sessions was on writing a book. You need to write a book to be a published author. You don't have to sell any books, but you need to write a book. And at the end of the session, one of the gentlemen in the class came up to me and he goes, "Where's your book?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm busted." So that started a 2.5-year journey to write a book just as a branding project. And boy, did that God have a different story for me on that one. So I put this together. Actually, I found that there were very few books in the space on entrepreneurship and God. There's lots of, great leadership books, John Maxwell's books, tons of great leadership books, but nothing I really found that was specific to this subject matter. And basically, I just told my story. And that's what we landed on today is Entrepreneurship God's Way.
Okay, so a lot of us have dreams and ideas of what we want to do. I always think of the scripture in Psalms that God will give you the desires of your heart. That scripture has a couple of meanings. The desire that is there, he put there, and then the fulfillment he gives you. But in writing this book, how did you come to the realization that your entrepreneurship was in alignment with God?
Well, I can't say it's always in line with God. Obviously the book has many of my struggles, situations I ended up in that God taught me a lesson. And so the book is part of my journey. It's my journey that continues every day. I don't have my act together completely, okay? Just because I wrote the book doesn't mean that I've got it together. I'm still striving to do the things that I've written about in them. I know those processes and those things that God wants me to do on a daily basis, but I'm a man. I struggle with that. I struggle daily with my walk, but God gives me that grace to make another day and to get an opportunity to get it right.
How did you, in growing your business, being an entrepreneur, how did you separate faith from facts? The facts said don't go, faith said go.
Well, many crazy things, and one of those stories is I had a group of men together, and we were buying a company. It was a factory, and it made some great products. The couple that owned it wanted out. They wanted to retire. I was already doing their online store, so that's how I got connected with them. And we spent 3 months. Matter of fact, it was a project that actually started at a National Religious Broadcasters Convention in Dallas back in 2005, I think, or 2006. And we started this project. We had the ultimate team put together to do this project. We had, our sales guy. We had our manufacturing guy. We had a great Christian group of men together for this project. We get to the closing table 3 months down the road, and we all get around the table, and the couple says, "Hey, can you give us a minute with our attorneys?" And they stepped into another room. 5 minutes later, came back and said, "Hey, guys, we love what you're going to do with the company. We love everything about this, but the deal is off the table. Don't come back with another deal." Just in shock. We had the MOUs, all of the letters, everything was dotted and T's crossed. And, we could have just sued them for the company right then and there and won it fair and square. But God said, "No, don't do that. There's a reason. I've got a plan on this. This is, I shut this down on purpose." And it came to fruition, several months later, why that deal got canceled. It's one of those things that, I wanted to do what the world would have done in regards to that deal, but God said, "Let's do something different here."
In an experience like that where God just flat stopped, in your experience of growing businesses and being an entrepreneur, have you sensed that what you were pursuing was wrong?
Yes, definitely so. There's definitely doors I walked through that were going, this isn't the place you need to be. And God shut that down early. And there's some that went on and went on and went on, and I should have got out a long time ago. Many of my journeys were that way, where I wasn't listening to God, and He slammed the door. It's the same way it happened to me in television, Perry. As you know, I work in low power TV, and I was at a TV station, or actually a group of stations that I ran, and I got fired. I mean, just out of the blue, just totally one of those weird situations that I got fired and accused of some things. And just 4 months later, I was vindicated on that I didn't do that, but it was just a way that God kicked me out the door, because God had already told me 6 months earlier, "Hey, Lee, your time is done on this project. I've got a new project for you." But it took me 6 months and God to actually literally kick me out the door to hear what He was trying to say to me.
How did you, or how do you even today, when praying about something, balance yes, no, and wait?
Praying for clarity, that is, definitely one of pieces of a practical framework for aligning your business and what you do with God. There's always the questions that I ask, God, what do you want me to accomplish through this? How do you want me to use these skills and resources? What areas of my business need to reflect your values more clearly? Prayer is definitely high on that list. And we talk about prayer I talk about prayer in the book, quite a bit. But it's just not a one-time event. It's an ongoing conversation. I tried to make space on a regular basis to clear my mind, to listen to His voice, and what God has to say about what I'm doing, and what projects are out there. And obviously, another piece of that is listening to Him through Scripture and His Word. Stewardship, leadership, service, all of those things that we meditate in Scriptures that we can find. God's book is a huge book on business.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yes. Are you surprised by that? Are you surprised that as you look as an entrepreneur into the Bible, that it's actually one of the greatest business manuals on earth?
It really, I really stressed in putting this book together. I did it through a book cohort where I had a deadline. I had two years worth of material, and I had a month to actually put it all together and come out with a book. And I had a dilemma. I had too much information. I mean, it was running out of my ears, and I really didn't know what to do with everything I had. I finally got it down to about 370 pages when the deadline day hit. And it's like, okay, this is it. I really needed to take another 100 pages out. But anyway, for the first book, there it is. We published it and got it out there. But there's just so much information. There's 3 or 4 books that I've condensed down into one.
Well, the book is entitled Entrepreneurship, God's Way, Building Faith-Driven Success in Business. There is a picture of the cover of the book. Let me take a quick break. I got a couple more questions for him, but you can get this online. Check it out. Entrepreneurship, God's Way by Lee Miller. We'll be right back.
Jetboat excursions, you feel the power of the mighty Rogue River as you take in the sights and sounds of nature, journey through Hellgate Canyon, and adventure through the breathtaking wilderness. Enjoy brunch or dinner on the open-air deck of the exclusive Hellgate River Lodge, and end your adventure with our exciting jetboat spins. It's a memory in the making with family and friends. Book your adventure at Hellgate.com. Hellgate Jetboat Excursions, where adventure runs wild.
Put your gold in an envelope, mail it. Hopefully you get a check. No. Father and son jewelry, bring your gold in. We weigh it, we check it, we make you the offer.
Or turn your something old into something new. Whether it's an idea, a picture, or a piece you want to duplicate, we can melt it down and make it for you.
If you find your perfect piece in store, trade your something old for something new, and you always get a little extra.
Visit Father and Son Jewelry, 5 generations of family in Medford. The Dove is touching lives across our network and around the world.
Thank you for all you do to put the truth of God and the gospel out on the airwaves. You've helped me and encouraged me a lot in the last few years. And Perry, thank you for the amazing interviews on Focus Today.
Thank you for your hope and inspiration.
Let us know if the Dove has touched your life. The Dove TV, encouraging and informative. Support the Dove at thedove.us. They travel across America to give an answer for questions, doubts, and challenges concerning faith.
The Gospels are historically reliable.
Their mission, present truth, faith, and help people find purpose.
Not based on blind faith.
Join them as they strive to make a lasting impact on lives and hearts for Christ.
They're either all wrong or one of them's right. I got to go to the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Don't miss Give Me an Answer, weekdays at 3 on the Dove TV.
Okay, welcome back. Such an honor to have with us today a gentleman that I highly respect and honored to serve with him in some capacities. That's Lee Miller. He's the CEO and the president of MSG Resources, which is really a parent company to so many things that he does. But he's authored a book that kind of summarizes his experiences. It's called Entrepreneurship, God's Way, Building Faith-Driven Success in Business. There's a picture of the cover of the book. By the way, he does have a website, msgresources.com, and there's a picture of his landing page, msgresources.com. A lot of things going on there. The book, I think you'll find to be inspiring, and I think really kind of help you as a guide. You might end up writing in the margins of this book if you are a business entrepreneur or leader. Lee, As a Christian entrepreneur, how do you balance the tension between profit and purpose?
The tension between profit and, well, my wife, the accountant, she she helps with that balance. But and my son is on me all the time, and he's a part of the business and likes to keep me balanced. But definitely, God has given us the opportunities to use our resources for kingdom purposes, and many times for free. And I have sometimes a heart that gets me in trouble, and I bite off too much for various companies to chew. But I think God honors that. He's honored what we've given and helped us to balance those situations where, okay, that may not be quite profitable for us to do that, but it's what God's calling us to do. And there's definitely many things that we've backed off on that, oh man, we can make some money with this project. But it's like, God's not in this. This is not a good thing for us to be a part of. Or I've got a bad feeling about this. God's just not telling me to jump on this project. I can't say that I have the ultimate ear to hear always, but I definitely believe He has given me, especially more discernment in my latter years than in my earlier years. Mm-hmm. And just kind of like, Dr. Randy Wise, a good friend of ours, and he actually wrote the foreword on this book. And one of the things that I still look at from day to day is something that he wrote was, he came to the conclusion that he was a bit upset with my old friend. Why didn't he write this book 50 years earlier? And I look at that going, oh, I wish I had this 30 years ago. Just because it's just a reminder. There's nothing new in this book. It is truly, as you say, it's part of godly principle, come right out of His Word. Yeah. But it's one of those reminders of this is the way we need to do business. There's a framework for walking in integrity.
Yes.
And being honest, sometimes it's hard. It really is. So with that, there has to be a balance, obviously, of profits, and many times those did not balance out. And my wife, the accountant, tells me many times.
You also mentioned in the book, Lee, that you see business as a Christian entrepreneur as a form of worship. This is a powerful idea. Maybe you can speak to that. And in doing that, how do you keep it from not becoming an idol or a mistress?
That's interesting how you put that. But definitely, I feel that everything that we do should be worship. I serve on the worship team at my church. I play keyboards. We do that Sunday morning worship thing but many people don't take that forward into their day-to-day lives. But I feel that everything that we do be asked to worship to our Heavenly Father, and definitely in business. Because, there's two things that we do most. We sleep and we go to work. And in our work, we really need to shine and reflect Jesus and His love for man in everything that we do. And that is an extension of that Sunday morning worship that we worship through our business. Mm. And, it really puts a perspective on, those things that you look at and go, okay, is this Christ-like? Am I treating this person? I recall something yesterday that I said to an employee that I'm just like, I've got to go fix that today. I was not Christ-like in what I did yesterday. And it's bothered me. It's bothered me all morning this morning. I've got to take care of that. Mm-hmm. but it's something that's constantly on my mind in regards to when I put it in that frame, in that perspective, it really does help me in my walk every day.
One last question before we're out of time, and again, thank you, Lee, for your time. I know that you like being behind the camera more than you do in front of it. So
exactly, this part's very uncomfortable for me.
Again, the book is called Entrepreneurship: God's Way, Building Faith-Driven Success in Business. There's a picture of the cover of the book. You can get that online by Lee Miller. Go to his website, msgresources.com. My last question, Lee, is what would you say to the person, a believer? They're stuck. They feel stuck. They built a profitable business, but it seems to be spiritually empty. What would you say to that person?
Wow. Trust God. Release that control. And a lot of times it's a control thing. It's a control issue that we're not surrendering our business, what we do, the outcomes. We're not surrendering that to God. It's something that I think we all struggle with. We like to plan, we strategize, we work hard on achieving the success, and there can be uncertainties with running a business. And one of those things in regards to that is releasing that, surrendering this to God. And I've seen some very, very successful Christian businessmen that their business is one of the most evil things I've ever seen. Not from a moral, type of business, but just from, they ran the business like they didn't care who God was.
Okay.
And I think, and I've seen many change where they'll step back and put God back in control of their lives. And it's a hard thing. It's got to change with them as an individual before it could even seep into the business whatsoever.
That's wonderful. All right. I'm out of time, but let me say to our viewers, get a copy of this book. It's wonderful. It's inspiring, and it's practical, and it's authentic. Entrepreneurship: God's Way, Building Faith-Driven Success in Business by Lee Miller. There's a picture of it. Check out Lee's website, msgresources.com. Well, Lee, thank you for your time. I want you to know that I think you and I just created a first for both of us. I got to interview you. This is good stuff. So
there you go. I appreciate it so much.
All right, thank you, buddy. Appreciate your leadership and everything. God bless you, pal.
All right.
Wildfire season is coming. Are you ready? All it takes is one small ember to level a home. Reduce any fire hazards around your home and property to prevent an escaped fire from spreading out of control and to protect your home from an oncoming wildfire. It's called defensible space.